Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Okay, and we're up. What's up? Hey, let's first of all, thanks for coming here. Thanks for everything.
Pleasure, man.
We're very excited. Just introduce yourself. Start with you, Josh.
I'm Josh Henning from the Roadster Shop.
Phil Gerber.
Jeremy Gerber.
And you guys make fucking awesome cars.
Well, thank you, dude.
For a living.
I appreciate
like that. What a
it.
great job. I mean, what a fucking great job.
Dude,
You
yeah,
guys
it
get
is.
to work on some of the fucking coolest cars that have ever been made. It's you guys have an incredible gig.
Living the dream, man. That's it. That's what it's all about.
So I drove that 1970 Barracuda, and I got here. I said, I don't want to say shit until we get on the air.
Dude, I'm sweating.
That
I've been
thing-
sweating thinking about it.
That thing is a masterpiece. It's my favorite. That's my favorite car
yeah.
now. That just went number one. It beat all of them.
Hell yeah, dude.
You know, like edges. You know, the Camaro's amazing. My Nova that I got from Steve Strope is fucking incredible. But this thing is fucking. It's also.
Dude,
it's
I
like I
love
have
it.
so much history with this car. I mean, I bought this car 20 years ago. And
So
to buy
surreal.
Reggie Bush bought it, and then he got rid of it after a while. He dumped a bunch of money into it too. He was telling me, and then when my friend Yoel told me he got it back, he called me and he said, "I have your Barracuda." I'm like, "No," and this is like, you know, I was already thinking that I wanted to get another one. Like I wanted to get them. I only like hot rods that are manuals. That's all I like. I do not like automatic hot rods. It just feels like something's wrong. When you're driving a classic muscle car, it's like, it's just, why am I not shifting? You know? And just what you guys did to that thing is just, you guys are artists.
Well, I appreciate it,
It's
man.
really amazing.
Dude, we were stoked to hear when you found that car because you could have built anything, you know.
Yeah.
So, but that damn car was so rad, and to start with it,
Yeah.
revamp that sucker, and put our touch on it, man. I had a blast doing it, dude. And I'm glad that you're digging it.
I love it.
I mean,
love it.
That was the whole, everything on that, all the styling and stuff aside, it was, the focus was making that fucker work really good so that you got something fun to drive. So
It drives so different than anything else. It's that high revving, naturally aspirated Mercury engine,
Yeah.
which is like very different.
it's a wild motor, man.
Yeah.
The Mopar dudes, not a big fan of it, right? Because it's
Right, 'cause
it's
it's not
Chevy, it's
Mopar.
Chevy based, but it's
Yeah.
a fucking motor. You know, it's an internal combustion engine.
Looks like a Hemi under the hood.
Right.
People have to get over that shit.
Yeah, they do.
Like, there's a bunch of people that are taking V8s, like LS engines, and putting them in the back of Porsches.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That-
people are like, man, I don't know. They're doing like those 964s, air-cooled engines.
Yeah.
But, dude, do you know how fun that would be? It's probably lighter than the Porsche engine. It's got way more torque,
Oh yeah.
way more horsepower, totally different sound.
It's upgrades. It doesn't have to fit. It's not like you've got to stick with whatever came in at factory.
people
Make
gotta-
it better.
people
It's
gotta
hot rodding.
They got to let that shit go.
Yeah, they do.
They got to let that shit go. The people who are the worst about it is Ferrari people. Ferrari will sue you.
I know, man. I've heard that.
That is so crazy. If
there's
you
a-
buy a Ferrari and you paint it weird colors, they'll fucking sue you.
Yeah. Yeah, you see there's a couple things floating around. You got that dude that just, man, he swapped like a Honda motor, turbo Honda motor into an old 308. Every comment's like, when's the cease and desist letter coming?
Yeah, I wonder if they can do that with classic ones. Because I know that there's a bunch of people that have hot rodded some old GTOs, and they really are incredible.
They're cool, dude.
Yeah.
I talk about it all the time. I'm itching to like resto mod at Testarossa.
Ooh.
It's gonna happen one of these days.
I don't know why, but I think
80s,
I
90s
see
coming
those
back.
cars. Those cars never did it for me. They look
Really?
like, it looks like junk.
Oh man,
That side thing with the like vents, like get the fuck out of
Dude,
here.
it's,
Like, what
it's
is
the
that?
generation. It's the generational gap. You know.
No, that was
was-
Miami Vice. I was a kid. I remember Miami Vice. Everybody wanted a Testarossa.
I want to do that Lambo LP 2000 or whatever, the Lambo truck, the vintage one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the one Mike Tyson had. Mike
Yeah.
Tyson had one of those back in the day.
Do those with mid-travel.
You only want to do that because you picture that fucking Doberman sitting in the front seat of that. That's
Yeah.
a perfect car for like Doberman Rottweiler.
I've got a
Yeah, that's your style for sure.
Yeah, that's a guy with warrants. The guy's got a car like
Many
that.
of
The guy's done some shady shit.
You got to get some of those in your collection.
A Doberman and a Lambo truck. Like, what are you up to? for sure you know how to get ketamine.
So, dude, did you rip that Cuda? You drove it
Oh,
here,
yeah,
right?
I drove
so
it
you
here.
got
Yeah.
a few miles on it?
Yeah. Oh, my God. dude, it's so different. That engine is the high revving engine. I mean, what's the red line on that thing?
You could shift it at like 83, 8400.
That's
RPM.
so crazy for a V8. It's so
wild.
crazy, and it sounds so different. It's like it sounds like a combination of like the Voodoo engine from the Shelby GT350
Yep.
and like an exotic car. It's real weird.
It's got a sweet sound. Like the Voodoo engines and all those Coyotes are cool, but like me even being a car guy, if I'm on the highway and I'm just cruising like with my family and some asshole kid flies by you in one of those with an exhaust system on it, I'm like, what the fuck is Jesus, man?
Yeah,
Have a little respect.
I don't think you
they
need an
sound
exhaust system
bad.
on one of those.
No.
They sound good when they're straight from the factory. I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that sound. But dudes go crazy with their exhausts.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, isn't that annoying to you? Like,
Yeah, it's like a maturity thing, I think. You know,
Yeah.
you want the exhaust tone like that car too. We put that little bypass on it.
Yeah.
You can open it up and it's maybe like 20-30% louder, but it's not obnoxious.
it doesn't need to be. That sounds perfect. It sounds.
I didn't know if there was
perfect.
like an HOA or something, you know. So I was trying
I'm
to make
sure
sure you
there
had
is.
that option.
Yeah, I try to be respectful. Try to be respectful.
It's weird driving that though, and then getting back in another LS V8 powered car, and like
Mm-hmm.
you're shifting so much earlier, and then you jump in that, trying to figure like mentally stay in it another 3,000 RPMs, and like,
Yeah.
it comes alive at $5,000 and just rips.
It's just very different, but it's got plenty of low end torque for it to be fun, like right off the line. But it's just like when you get on the highway, when you get on, it's first of all the handling the thing. I wanted to ask you this because you guys remapped how the transmission works and the tunnel, and then you put the rear transaxle. Does that shift the weight more to the back?
It makes that car ends up being like perfect 50-50. So with a big monster V8 in the front of it, the car still, you know, it's a little more exotic because it's balanced.
That's what I was thinking when I was driving it. I'm like, God, this thing is so balanced. It's so sorted.
It's just like super predictable.
Yeah.
And it feels like a sports car, doesn't it?
The
Compared to
exact opposite feeling of the old car. The old 70 was that it had that giant Hemi in the front, and it was like really front end heavy.
oh yeah.
And you could feel it. You could feel it around turns. You could feel it everywhere. It's like yikes.
Yeah.
And it had solid rear
Sure.
axle. It had it didn't have the widest tires in the world, and it was just like
Oh yeah. Dude, that
sketch.
big old like boat anchor. That's why everybody that chimes in, they're like, man, it should have had a big old 426 Hemi with a 4barrel on it. You're like, dude, what the fuck?
Shut your
Not
mouth.
if you're going to
Yeah.
drive it.
Shut your mouth. If I
Yeah.
gave you that car, you'd shit your pants. It's the most incredible car of all time. Like, shut up.
Well, you drove
love it,
the Camaro yesterday. You were talking about.
Yes.
So it's interesting. Back to back 2 days, jumping out of the Camaro because you know you
The
like
Camaro's
the Camaro.
way more sketchy. The Camaro is like if you're taking a right turn, you give it a little juice, you're gonna kick out.
Yeah.
Like it's so powerful at the low end. It's so it's got that
yeah.
just wants to go. Like you got to be like very careful with the throttle in the Camaro.
Yeah, you got to respect the Camaro a lot more
Yeah.
than this one.
This one just lets you feel where the balance. It's just like you know where the limitations are. Just it's like giving you more information. It seems like
Yeah.
the Camaro is just like a bar brawler. You know, the Camaro's
Sure.
like some crazy dude who comes into a bar and he's doing coke and he just wants to
He's all
start
fucked up.
smashing shit. You know, it's like that's what it's like.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, it handles for one of those cars for a '69. I mean, you don't get a '69 Camaro that handles better. It handles amazing, but it just it's so rowdy and it has what is that like 850 horsepower?
Yeah, 850 horse. It's the supercharger, man. The
Yeah.
torque's like fucking on. It's like a light switch.
Yeah, it's fun.
But you can wind
It's
that.
fun.
You can wind that fucker out though. And
Yeah.
I mean, it'll shoot pretty straight. It's a fun car to drive.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it at 7. Don't get that bitch up to 9 or 10. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Swap a pulley on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab
Yeah.
the boost
I had
down.
the privilege of flogging that thing, man, and making sure it was sorted. But it that fucker is rowdy
Yeah.
compared to the Cuda for
Yeah,
sure.
it's very different. It's a very different feeling, but they're both equally enjoyable in different ways. You know, it's just I mean, I've sang the praises of those cars so many times, but there's just something about that era of cars that is like the greatest achievement in automotive history in terms of like what it emotes from people, the kind of like passion that people have for those things.
Yeah, sometimes it's too much passion though. You know, if you like flying under the radar.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like obviously yeah, it creates a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, you know, you drive something like that to a gas, just to fill it with gas, and you're like dude, everybody's best friend. Everybody's got something to say.
Yeah.
Those old 70s pickup trucks, too, same fucking situation. Man.
Oh yeah, people who love those old pickup trucks, that's like a very specific breed of person. Those C10s.
It is. It is and it isn't, because you get it like transcends just the like C10 dudes, because chicks love those. Dude, C10s.
Really?
Oh yeah, like square body Chevys.
Really?
And if you're a single dude and you're trying to roll some broads, man, get
Really?
a fucking
This
square
old
body.
truck. There's guys out there right now taking notes and like, okay.
So you're sure?
Oh,
You're sure
no.
about this? Right?
Solid sales pitch.
Yeah. So the year range, what do we got? 73 to 79. That's
Oh,
what
we're
it's at.
doing those Legend series or whatever.
Is anybody redoing the OJ Bronco?
It's getting there, and we
It
done
seems like that's started. It's old enough now that that's a classic, right?
It is. It's shifting, man, because the generation's changing and people are doing more of those. Like we just did a '87 Grand National, and it's getting into that era. Like you're gonna break into the early '90s.
Yeah.
We did a chassis for one, and we had it in our shop. I wanted to do one, slam that bitch on a chassis, license plate juice, and
Of course.
Do you guys know Mark Curry, Hanging with Mr. Cooper? Remember that show?
yeah.
Mark Curry's a car nut too. And he's a stand-up comic, and he had this beautiful OJ Bronco. It was really dope. Pretty sure it was a Bronco, and a fucking tree fell on it.
He had the Bronco in his
yeah.
show. I remember he had the Bronco in his show too.
Did he?
His TV show. I think he would drive that.
Yeah. So look at this.
Oh,
Yeah, a fucking tree fell on his truck and crushed it.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I think it totaled it.
Yeah, it looks
It's
like
a see if you can get photos of it, because it's a massive tree that fell on his. Look at the size of the fucking tree that fell on his Bronco.
Shit.
It was a dope Bronco though. He had it like completely redone. It was a total sleeper. There's Mark. Mark's the shit. Super cool dude. Really funny stand up too. If you ever see him live,
I've never seen it.
he's really funny. But you know, he made like a ton of money off of hanging with Mr. Cooper. He's just like,
Chilling,
having a good time, enjoying
good for him.
himself. But just luckily he wasn't in that thing. That's how our governor got paralyzed.
the tree.
Tree
Is that
fell
what
on him.
happened? I always wondered what happened.
He was jogging.
And a tree.
Jogging around a
Does a
lake.
tree fall on you while you're jogging?
Dude, what are the odds? What are the odds?
Yeah, that's
They do fall though. You know, when you're hunting and you know, like you're in an area with like a lot of deadfall and it's windy, like if you hear a crack, like that's something you have to be very considerate of. You have to really consider, because if you hear a tree falling and it's anywhere near you, like you could get got. Like you have to really pay attention if you're in a place where trees fall. It's super, super, super rare to be there when a tree falls, but when you go through the woods, you see fallen trees all the time. Like they do happen. And if you are there when that, I mean, you could just zig when you should have zagged.
If that happens to me, I hope it takes me out, dude, because I would not want to tell that story
I
about.
hope
Like
it
if I'm limping
grazes
around
me. I hope it grazes
and
me.
people are like, dude, what happened? Fucking tree fell on me.
came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, Abbott's pulled it off. He's the governor. He's a great guy too. And you know that's what happened to him. It's a crazy story. Just guy was like super fit, running around a lake.
That's
That's
nuts.
wild.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
That's like we always talk. I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but getting hit by a train. That's
I saw that on
Always.
Instagram last week.
blown my mind because they don't sneak up on you.
They do though, because they're moving so fast. You miscalculate how much time it takes to get out of the way. You really do. Like, you see them coming. They're coming towards you. You don't understand
is.
what that means. Like if you think you could run across a highway because you see the car down there, no, you can't. No, you can't. The car's going 80 miles an hour. It's gonna fucking smash into you. It's just a bad and it's also like for whatever reason, sometimes people stop on tracks. It's the craziest thing. Their car stalls. They get stopped on tracks.
The semi
or
gets
they
stuck
try to
in-
beat the train, and they get clipped. That's what happened to Matt Hughes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, just, trains are fucking. It's amazing.
Dude, it's an adrenaline thing too. You know, we were out ripping those scooters, those little rental fucking electric scooters, and Sean was a buddy of mine. He fucking throttles down on this thing. I'm like, dude, don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Right in front of the train. It looked like something out of a movie.
God
like if
damn
we
it.
had fireworks going off in the
God
background, it
damn
would
it.
have
Yeah,
been.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a concussion. That's I forgot about it.
And you're trusting some fucking rental scooter.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what are the odds that thing's not beat to shit
Dude, driving around Austin
After we
yesterday,
drove 'em.
those things they leave them wherever, huh?
ever?
Like,
You have an app, you just find one, pick it up, start riding.
oh, in the middle of the road. Like yesterday, we were driving around. They're just fucking everywhere.
It's a great way for people to get around, though. If you like Austin is a great walking around city. There's a lot of places just like where my club is on 6th Street.
Yeah.
They shut the street down on the weekends. And it's just for people walking around. It's amazing. It's fucking cool.
A group of
just
those-
everybody just wandering around, going to bars. It's really
Prime
nice.
for a bachelorette party on about 6 or 7 of those
Oh
scooters.
yeah, dude. Just
Oh, they're always
seeing
happening.
him get KO'd.
They're always happening. And they're in those pedicabs. They're always in the back. Yeah.
Hey, those scooters should be regulated here. We're lucky to have Josh with us today because Josh had himself a fucking violent wreck on one of those, and we were in Louisville.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Helmet
Had a
or
tank.
no helmet?
No
No
helmet.
helmet.
Head bang?
Yeah.
Bang your head?
like a
Bounced.
like a bouncy ball.
We're
dude.
all doing
Off
stupid
the concrete?
shit. Yeah,
Right
off
at the concrete?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Pull out my phone. I'm navigating. We're trying to find a bar. I'm in the lead and pull out my phone and just kind of stand there and then got a tank slapper and it's fine.
Yeah. They need more-
Honestly, my pride is hurt way worse.
Yeah, it's not recoverable. The
When you
pride
get
you
older,
took.
falling becomes way more dangerous.
That's what we said.
You know? Like, I used to fall when I was a kid. It was like a normal thing to like fall off your bike.
Well, you
Now
just
you
roll
fall
out
off
of
your
it.
bike like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like checking everything.
Yeah.
Making sure
It
you're
used to be able to
okay.
like roll. Now it's just you hit and splat.
Yeah. You just hit awkward. And then things click. Why is it
Yeah.
clicking? Why is my neck
Clicking,
clicking?
breaking.
I'm just thinking about cracked bones and shit. Yeah, don't ride scooters, bro. Come on, we need you.
He learned his lesson.
We need you out there
Yeah.
making awesome cars.
That's right.
I saw that Grand National you guys did. That's another car that I appreciate, but I don't get it. I put that in the Testarossa
Yeah.
category. To
Dude.
me, it's like, that's a sedan. That's like a regular sedan. Like, it's just, there's
Right.
nothing special about it. I don't like it.
So I've never been into those cars either. I've always hated the G bodies. Not a fan at all, but that's a car that's so fucking violently fast and badass to drive.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's got like a menacing. It kind of made me a believer in them because it's got like this menacing look about it. Because it's like you said, it's like a sedan. You know?
Yeah.
You look at it and it was an average ass looking car, but it kind of made me a believer. I turned the corner on the G bodies a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's not the best shape. Those years, what is that, like 87 or something like that? What year is
87,
that?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
those
it.
years sucked.
It did.
Those years
It
sucked.
did.
Even the greatest stuff that anybody made during those years sucked.
When's a Mustang coming? You got to do a Mustang, don't you?
I do have to do a Mustang. Look at that thing.
Yeah,
It's pretty dope. As
Dude.
far as those cars go, it's dope. But it's just, they're not the best looking cars. Like, if you're going to, I don't know, if you're going to commit to a
You
car.
like some shape and some.
I like the
you wore
old,
the
I
70s
like
stuff, right?
The ones when people were taking acid and making great music.
Yeah. That was
That's
the
the
era, man.
cars. Those are the cars.
Yeah, you had these like colorful characters that were designers.
Yeah.
What's that dude's name? It was just a fucking nut, dude. Remember with the crazy clothes and
Oh yeah. Shit.
crazy GM designer.
Had the
Harley
red,
Earl?
Had the red suit all the time.
For sure they did drugs.
Yeah.
Tons of drugs.
Here's
Yeah.
what
have to.
here's why you can tell. It drops off radically after the sweeping psychedelics act of 1970. So in 1970 they made everything Schedule 1. They turned mushrooms, LSD, everything became Schedule 1. And the purpose of it, look at this fucking
Yeah.
crazy dude.
Bill
That's the guy
Mitchell.
who
Bill
designed
Mitchell. Yeah,
everything.
Bill
He's an
Mitchell.
animal. Look at him. You know that dude was
Dude,
doing
world
drugs.
famous guy. I mean,
So when they made it in 1970, from 70 on, the cars started sucking.
Yeah.
Like literally. Like it's like right when everything became illegal, the cars just fell apart.
Yeah.
You get like a couple of good 71s, like the 71 Barracuda's dope.
Yeah, the
But-
carryover cars.
Yeah, but you get into like the 70 Camaros and you're like, what did you do? Like, what did you do? It's like, it's okay. But you had perfection. Like, what did you do?
that's a funky one to think because there's 70 Camaro guys, you know, and I could see like there's something about them that's all right, but to veer away from such an iconic design, yeah, the '69 it's one of the baddest ass cars ever made.
Yeah.
and to just drop that, not even like evolve it a little bit.
And
they
then
like
you get
threw it
into
out.
like the 80s and you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
With the IROCs, like, what is that? What have you done? What have you done? What are you guys doing? To do something, you guys are on the wrong drugs. There's no.
Well, I think cocaine came in and played a part of it, you know, because like we did.
Attention span.
This fucking design is awesome.
Send it. We did a '79 Camaro white one, and it's like white T-tops. Did it for a guy out of Pennsylvania, and it's we call it the cocaine cruiser. It's just got that look, you know. But yeah, the design, it kind of went out the fucking window. I think like AMC AMX. I'll bet you that entire product line was like an acid trip. I feel like.
Right.
Yeah, some
Yeah, they
weird
had
shit
some
going
wild
on.
ones.
Yeah.
They had javelins and shit.
Yeah.
Even the way they're, I mean, besides just the drugs, I mean, there's stories about Bill Mitchell. I mean, he was supposedly, now this is a story as you heard, they were paying prostitutes out of petty cash from General Motors.
Of course they were.
Like on a weekly
What are they going to
basis.
do? Pay them in gold bullions?
Yeah, but they lived a life like.
It was kind of a rock star lifestyle.
Well, I mean, there's
right?
stories about them getting drunk and taking like a horse-drawn carriage in New York City and driving it like through the Waldorf Astoria, and I mean shit like that back in the day. It's a crazier mentality, and they were getting away with a lot more shit that I think trickled down into the company.
I think they trickled down to the design.
Yes,
They were rock and roll guys. They made rock and roll cars, man. They really did. Like those, you go back and look at it like a 1969 Mustang. Like whatever you were on back then, you fucking nailed it.
Yeah, you did.
Like there was nothing like that before that. You know, if you go to like the difference between the 1950s cars and the 1960s cars is crazy. Because if you think about the difference between a 2013 car and a 2023 car, not much fucking difference.
You're right.
Even Mustangs and things like that, they look great. 10 years ago, they look great now. But it's like they don't look that much different that you go, that's an old car. But 50 to 60s, like, that's when the drugs kicked in. And that's 100%. They started making the Corvette look for the 67 plus Corvette. They just had this fucking shape to it. You know, they just went ham.
yeah.
Dude, that's a good observation. I've never really put two and two together on that because the 50s stuff's so like civilized and like professional. Mm-hmm. And then it definitely.
Do 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 do. These guys got fucked up and they made some amazing art, and that's really what it is. And what you guys do is take that art and update it. That's what I love. I love, like, first of all, I love the craftsmanship and just the skill that you guys have, and the engineering that's involved, and I just really, really appreciate all that all that goes into that. But it's also art. Like, you guys are making art with old art. You take these rusted, old, fucked up cars, and you strip them all down, put a completely new chassis, put everything in so it works like a modern car, and you get the best of both worlds. You get that look that those cars had was just magical. Whatever in the design element of those cars, it's just magical.
Dude, that's the key to those because everybody loves muscle cars, but people look at them like you get some dude who's like 45, 50 years old, right? He made himself a bunch of cash, and he says, that looks cool. I want to have it. Has no fucking idea that when he buys a 70 CUDA, it's a massive pile of shit to drive, like a bone stock car. You have no idea because you look at it, you think it's cool, it's fast. It was fast. It's not.
It's got the iconic big motor and rumble.
Yeah. My mom had a 1971 when I was growing up. That's when I became infatuated with CUDAs.
Really?
Yeah, it was with a 340
Dude,
automatic.
that's a crazy car for your mom to have. Your mom must be pretty fucking cool.
She's pretty cool. But it was like the shape of that car just intoxicated me just as a kid, and I was always like, but hers was like kind of boring looking. It was like kind of a copper bronze color. It was like kind of boring, stock. And I was like, man, one day. So that was like the car in my head always was like 70, 71. I like both of them. There's something about the 70 with the individual headlights. It just makes it it stands out. But that fucking grill in the 71 is pretty wild too.
Yeah, the grill. I like the taillights on the 72. It's a good looking car, man. It's easy when you start with one of those. We've done a handful of CUDAs because those cars are just good looking to begin with. And you don't really have to touch the body on them. You know, you talk about like making art. That car's like art to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I think Dodge did the very best job of doing that retro version of the Challenger. I think that all those cars that to me look a lot like like the first time I saw the Hellcat, I was like, that's a fucking dope car.
Yeah.
Dope modern car. Like you could see driving that 15, 20 years from now, it'd be cool.
Dude, they're very cool. My problem with them is we've always been around the muscle cars, so you're used to the proportions of like I've had 70 Challengers, and you're used to those proportions. And when you see that car next to it, it's like I don't know. It's like the big dumb kid in gym class when you're a kid. It's just like a little overgrown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why did they do that? Why did they make them bigger?
All the shit's so much bigger.
Yeah, it's just the wheelbase, the platform. You know,
all the safety requirements they have
the
to
HVAC,
have. And
the HVAC system in a new modern car or whatever is as big as your entire dash interior of like that 70 CUDA. You pull out the HVAC system under the dash of one of those new ones. That's why
it's a lot of
from the steering wheel all the way to outside of the firewall. I mean, you're talking like 3 fucking feet.
Really?
And it's just
It's a
the
lot of
amount
shit.
of shit they pack into those new cars. It's fucking
Dude,
nuts.
the horsepower and the performance is pretty mind blowing on that stuff. Like if you think everybody raves about like the muscle car era, but if you stop and think, like, dude, you can go into the dealership right now and buy a 1,000 horsepower car, a car that runs
truck.
9-second quarter miles.
Jamie just got a brand new Tesla Plaid, and I don't know if you've driven one of those, but look, I love muscle cars, but that car makes every car feel stupid.
That's what I've heard.
Stupid. I mean, stupid. It goes 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. It flies.
Nuts.
It goes so fast. It's like it's time traveling. It goes shoo, like it moves into positions that no other car can do it, and somehow it does it silently, so you don't feel like a douchebag. Like you're like bah, bah, and getting in front of somebody, you just go whoosh.
And you're gone.
How wild is it, Jamie?
Crazy. I mean, I barely drove it yesterday because I took it in the back and was just like, oh my god, this is a little. Okay, hold on.
And it's
Just
like I
fast.
think it's 1,100
So fast.
horsepower.
Is it
Yeah.
controllable or is it just
100%.
like go by itself?
It- it's-
electronically
it's-
dialed.
It's so dialed in. There's never wheel spin. I mean, when you take off, there's no wheel spin. It's all completely electronically managed. The base of the thing is all batteries, so the weight is low. So it's got an amazing center of gravity. 1,020 horsepower.
Oh, back to your point.
1.9 seconds, 0 to 60.
It's nuts.
Bro, it's preposterous.
I know it's tough when you talk about that to like make the argument against electric cars because
Well-
the performance is nuts.
I drove the fucking Cuda here today, though. I didn't drive the Tesla.
Yeah,
It's a different experience. Like, I'm not trying to go. I'm not racing anybody.
Dude, it's
I'm
the-
just going to work. You know, like it's the feeling.
it's the auxiliary experience.
Oh, my
Little
God.
bit of vibration, the noise. You're in control. You're connected to the car, right? You feel
There's-
like you're the one operating the car.
There's a few things in life that people wish they had that are actually worth getting, and muscle cars are one of them.
100%.
This is just one of them.
Dude, modified muscle
you know,
cars,
there's
though.
modified
like,
muscle
You got to
cars,
make
like
that
what
sucker
you
so
guys
you can
do.
drive it. Yeah.
Because it's like there's a lot of things that people wish they had, and then when you had it, you have it. It's like I explained this once. Like my first nice apartment that I ever had was in North Hollywood. When I first moved to California and I was on a TV show, I was like, wow, I got a nice apartment. This is crazy. This is my own place.
Yep.
It had a loft and had a pool table, and I was sitting in front of my TV, and I realized I go, oh, this is just a house. Like it's just like every other house. It's the same feeling I had when I was in a shitty apartment. It's just your place. You go to your place, you chill.
Yep.
It's the same feeling. So all that extra money you pay for these big giant houses and all the crazy shit, you think you're going to get that same amount of juice from like, wow, what an amazing feeling being in this house. But it's just your house.
Yeah.
You just have that same feeling, oh, I'm in my house. Oh, I'm opening my refrigerator, I'm going to have breakfast. It's the same feeling.
Right.
It's not the same feeling with cars. When you are in one of the, if I drive the Tesla to work, it's quiet, it's great. I listen to books on tape. I'm cruising along. It makes no sound. It's very relaxing and peaceful. But when I drive like the Camaro to work, it's like I'm in a fucking Doors video. You know, it's like do 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 do. It's a trip. I'm on a Disney ride. I'm in a Disney ride.
Are you jamming out to any music in that, or do you just listen to the
I
motor?
jammed out to music until I was halfway here, and I'm like, I didn't want to hear the music anymore. I just wanted to hear the engine. You know, there's both things. Like I have a Porsche, 1993 RS America. It's the rawest car I have. It's not fast at all. It only has like 300 horsepower. It has no power steering. It has no air conditioning. It has no radio. It has no nothing. And it weighs like, you know, it's like, I don't know, 2,000 something pounds.
Sure.
It weighs nothing. And it's so fun.
I'll bet.
It's so different than any other experience. And it's not the fastest. It's the slowest car I have, for sure. It's not that fast. But it's every mile per hour, everything you're fucking feeling in your ass and in your hands.
Yeah.
And it's this raspy, air-cooled... You don't have to be going fast. It's just the feeling you're getting. You're on a ride.
It requires all of you.
All
to
of
do
you.
It's like a motorcycle.
You're,
All
you're
of you.
connected. You're making everything happen. You're the one controlling it. There's no computers. There's no traction control. That
You have to really
Yeah.
steer that bitch, too, because there's no power steering. So, like, when you're parallel parking, you got to
you're
fucking
fucking
work your...
muscling
You
that
got to
thing.
work your forearms. It's a lot. but the feeling, the feedback you get is unprecedented. It's just like, and they say it's even more so if you get to like these 1970 ones, like when they do like Chris Harris did that once. He took I think it was a 1970 or 71 911T. See if you can find that video. It's like Chris Harris, my perfect sports car. And so he took this 911T and he brought it to this guy who makes race cars. And he had him fit it with a roll cage and, ramp up the engine and tune the suspension. And there's a video of him driving around the British countryside in this green 1970s Porsche, and it's fucking amazing. It's what everybody loves about driving, just in one video. This guy who's an automotive enthusiast, he can kind of get any car he wants. I mean, Chris Harris is like the premier auto journalist of our time. And he chooses to have this one little tiny, lightweight, stripped down car that he has built. See, have you found it? Check this out. Give me some volume. I need volume.
There's
Oh, no, that's not it. That's not it. That's the Singer DLS.
Which is nasty.
That's the nasty car, too. The one below it. The one below it. No, not Singer. Chris Harris, 911. Put, like, my perfect sports car. 911, my perfect sports car.
That era of 911, I mean, it's very similar to the muscle car vibe.
Yes. Very. That's it right
so
there. The second one
connected.
down. Remember the green 911? That one. So this is a car that Chris just had built over time. Just give me,
chassis up to modern levels of performance, which is pretty cool.
Let it go right there.
Then we got completely carried away with the engine spec, and I stomped my feet like a child until Richard found a later G50 gearbox and altered the rear torsion tubes to make it fit. Oh, and the engine is 3.4 litres of hand-built sexiness, and it has about 320 horsepower. And the car weighs under 1,000 kilograms. And when we drove it side by side with my then new BMW M3, the Porsche was quicker. The chassis is probably the trickiest bit of all on this car. I didn't just want an RS replica, so we went for the look of an ST, which for those of you less geeky than me on the subject of old 911s, is a car from 1971 with wider arches than an RS and no ducktail spoiler. So we have 8 and 9-inch wheels. The 9s are rare and stupidly expensive, but they do look the business. And that also means we have more mechanical grip and a wider track, and we needed some trick dampers to deal with that. The internals of the ones fitted to this car are very similar to the stuff fitted to Sebastian Loeb's.
Shit.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Graham, who runs the joint, is to dampers what Gordon Ramsay is to roast lamb. They cost a horrendous amount of money, but are well worth it.
Why do they sound so much smarter than we do?
That's why we use them for infomercials.
Yeah.
Dummies buy things from people with British accents. It's
Way more
proven.
eloquent.
ShamWow?
The
The ShamWow guy was American, though, right? That wasn't that guy. He was a wild boy, right? Didn't he get bit a hooker or something like that?
Is that what he did?
He got arrested for biting a hooker.
I
Yeah.
never would have guessed. Seemed
think-
like a straight shooter.
I think he did that ShamWow, got that ShamWow money, and started doing ShamWow money things.
Good
started
for
doing
him, dude.
blow and
That's an
partying.
American success story right
It is-
there.
I think he's dead. Is he dead? The ShamWow guy alive? Yeah. Really? Congratulations, sir.
I think it's the
What was the-
OxyClean.
Made
He
was
did
the
the
problem-
OxyClean. Didn't he have a coke problem and killed himself?
The OxyClean guy? Did
Billy
they?
Mays.
Oh, he did.
I'm
Yes.
still trying to get past the biting a hooker. Was that just the problem with the negotiation on the front end? Couldn't you just...
It depends
Could have
on
been on the tail end too.
what drugs he's on, what the hooker did. Who knows? Who knows what happened? I don't know the story. Very unfortunate for all involved. But yeah, the Billy Mays guy, he was doing a lot of blow and he had a heart attack or something,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I thought.
Is that what he died from, Jamie?
Not quite like that, but I don't want to really get into it.
You don't want to get into it?
I'm friends with his son.
Oh, that's right.
All right. Well,
That's right. I'm sorry, Jamie.
Sorry for bringing that up.
Sorry, buddy. Anyway, who doesn't like to party? Look, James Gandolfini, one of my favorite actors of all time. That's how he went. Partied a little too hard.
Damn.
Blew the ticker.
Dude,
You
it'll
know?
happen.
That's-
Leave it all on the field.
not that it matters. That's one of my all-time favorite fucking shows.
Oh, my God.
Fuck, what's
Gandolfini was the first guy that you rooted for that was a murderer.
Oh,
Like, he was the hero.
Fucking-
The hero. And
that
he
song-
murdered Christopher Moltisanti.
yes.
In the fucking, in the Cadillac. Yeah, spoiler alert. But, I mean, he was the first real, I think, on TV, the first real anti-hero. If you really think about it, like,
Yeah, they've been.
was there anybody before him? Jamie, can you think of anybody?
That'd been like 94, 95.
The Sopranos was later than that,
Yeah,
I
it was like
believe.
2000s.
Yeah.
early
Was it?
2000s.
I think it was early 2000s. I remember like thinking when I was watching, okay, this is totally different than anything ever, because they can do anything.
That intro, that score at the beginning. Oh, that.
It was so annoying being Italian then, because everybody wanted to talk like they were in the mob. All the dumbest Italian guys on the East Coast, like, hey, that's our fucking thing. This is our thing. Shut your mouth. Everybody wanted to be on the mob. It was like, it's like people moving to Montana because they saw Yellowstone. It's like the same
Dude,
shit.
it's enticing, man. Fuck, I
They
watch
sold it hard.
Yeah, I
They
watch
said,
it.
I
And I'm
don't want to
like,
be a rancher.
until you got to do rancher stuff.
I
you
know,
so you got to
man.
get up at fucking 3 in the morning and feed
Bro.
the cattle.
That's no joke. That's a real work.
You can get into like shootouts and
Yeah, how are they getting into so many murders?
No, you're in there.
blowing up buildings, like all kinds of cool shit.
You're in there shoulder deep in a fucking cow trying to pull out the calf and doing all that shit.
I don't think people realize it's not just like all about distressed like leather boots and like cool jackets. There's some fucking work there.
Backbreaking work. Yeah. But there's this amazing scene where this old cowboy is talking to this young guy, and he's saying, "You're doing art for no audience." Like when you're out there, what you're doing is you're doing art for no audience. It's like, wow. If you really love that, that is what it is.
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're plastering it all over Instagram and the internet and YouTube and trying to
Yeah.
get everybody to see it.
with an audience.
Yeah,
with an
you're
audience,
doing art
right?
for an audience. It's interesting though, because it is kind of what that is, and there's something about like cattle wrangling and all that stuff that somehow or another speaks to human beings. Because I think we evolved doing that, and I think like tending to the land, and I think farmers have that sort of same feel too. There's something about that that's just like natural with human beings, and there's a natural human reward system that's involved with cultivating your own food and being involved in a farm, that I think it just centers people in a very unusual way. Because I think it's like your body's designed for a certain amount of that,
I think it's a good thing, even if it's glamorizing it in an unrealistic light, and it does make people go and say they sell their business and they go out there and they're going to become a rancher and then they fail. But at least it is pushing some people to get back to that wilderness living. Like, I think it's a good thing.
Most people aren't cut out for it. That's
I know.
for
I'll
sure.
bet there's a lot of people. Remember that movie with Pauly Shore? Was it Son-in-Law?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet you there's so much of that going on out there in Montana.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Billings
Well,
and
there's
shit like that.
something going on in Wyoming. Jeffree Star, who's this famous YouTuber who is
Yeah.
are they transgender or is he gay? Or he's very flamboyant, very fun, but he's like involved in some dispute with his neighbor. Or just said his neighbor tried to kill him, run him off the road, and I don't know what the fuck is going on. But he's making Instagram videos about it. Like, can you imagine you're some rancher and Jeffree Star moves next door?
Have you seen? Have you
He's
seen
throwing
I haven't seen
parties?
this? He wouldn't exactly fit in.
But maybe he would. I mean, maybe they're open-minded. I don't know what's going on, so I can't really comment.
You think he's going down to Tractor Supply and buying
might
a
be.
couple bags of feed?
It'd be fun.
Some Carhartts.
Who knows? Yeah, Carhartts. I don't think so. I don't think he's running around the field with Lululemon on. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but it's like RuPaul bought a fucking ranch too. RuPaul bought some giant ranch in Wyoming. Lives on a ranch.
How many people out there have been in that industry? They've been in Montana, they've been in Wyoming their whole lives, and they're making a fortune off of selling ranching supply, all this stuff that they say for these people that come in. They've just moved. Like, I'm starting a ranch. What do I need?
Yeah.
I'm gonna set you up. So what you're gonna need is
Ranch starter
Can you
kits.
imagine starting a ranch from scratch? What? What are you gonna do? Do you know how to do this? Are you crazy?
Yeah, the
Chickens are
learning
gonna
curve
die.
is going to
how
murder
many
you.
how many cows do I need? I'm like,
several.
Whole mess of them.
It would actually be a fun reality show. Didn't Jeremy Clark do that? Did he do something like that? Didn't Jeremy Clark start a farm? I believe he did. I think he did it for a television show, and the same kind of deal. It's got to be all encompassing. Like, you'd be exhausted. Yeah, Clarkson's farm. Yeah. Episode 1, surviving.
Dude, it's all changing. Everything's changing in this country because they're moving. Austin's a good example.
Oh, yeah.
Years ago, it was Texas. right?
Yeah.
It's just badass, fucking cowboy stuff, and now it's, well,
Austin was always very blue. Austin's always been like this blue spot in a red state. And it's always been very progressive. And one of the funniest things that I've ever seen that's like pretty accurate there's a T-shirt that said, "Keep Austin weird and surrounded." It's like you need the balance. You need the balance because if you're in a place like San Francisco or LA, there's no fucking balance, right? There's no like Republicans on the outside and progressive. Like even the progressives here are so much more reasonable than the progressives in LA. Because they encounter like rational opposition to their ideas all the time.
yeah.
And that stuff only works in urban environments, like progressive ideology and the policies they push with homelessness and crime and defunding the police. That shit only works, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. But you can only get away with it in urban environments.
Of course.
In the country, no one's buying any of that.
No.
You just like people work too hard.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to get by, if you're fucking in a rural area, no one's interested in that nonsense you're selling.
no.
So the beautiful thing about Texas is Austin is this like small city. There's like 1 million plus people, not that many, right? And then there's another 1 million on the outside, and then outside of it is just Texas. Outside of it is Buc-ee's and fireworks.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about.
Gun stores. It's like it's ranches. It's like that keeps Austin balanced, where they don't get too off the rails. They don't go to Portland.
We're gonna ask you about the homeless stuff. We were here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
3 years ago.
It was really, really getting. It was height of pandemic stuff and all that. But man, last night going around, it's way different.
Yeah, they cleaned it up. They did
Big time.
They did it in a very intelligent way. They acquired hotels and they bought buildings and house people, and they have a bunch of different programs they do to try to help people get back on their feet, and they discourage camping. They won't let people camp. You just can't camp under the bridges. They clean up your shit. They'll take you out of there. They'll let you know that there's resources available for you. But the real problem in all these cases is mental illness. That's the real problem. Mental illness and drug addiction. And both of those things kind of go hand in hand. And a lot of those folks are like badly, badly addicted to drugs. And they can't sustain themselves and they can't support themselves. And I don't think encouraging them to just camp out everywhere like they do in San Francisco, and they actually give them money for doing that, that doesn't help anybody. It's not helping them. It's not helping your community. It's terrible, and everybody knows it.
You don't think that enabling them and giving them like needles and stuff like California does is beneficial? Or?
I think they should give them everybody's money, all the money. If they were rich, they'd have no problems. Just give them all $1 million. Come on, I mean, all the money we're spending in Ukraine, there's only like 2,000 homeless people. They could afford that.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know if it kills your problems. Look at fucking ShamWow guy, I mean,
Different problems. Different problems.
Amplifies it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if you just gave them money, it wouldn't help. You really, I don't know what to do. I mean, I think that like when a person is that fucked, when their mind is that fucked, and they're that far gone in terms of life, they have no hope, and they're just covered in filth, and they're living in a tent. It's like taking that person and rebuilding them is a massive project. It's probably going to take as much time to make them normal as it took for them to get that fucked up. So you think about like childhood abuse, sexual abuse, violence, detention, juvenile system. They've gone through jail. They've gone through so many different things. They have no hope that life is eventually going to be awesome. When you wake up, you go to an awesome job. You guys have a cool place. You work with cool people. You make awesome shit. That feels good. That's like a good feeling.
Oh, yeah.
These guys never have good feelings unless they're getting high. And that's the scary thing. Is so like you get them out of that, and then they're going to be depressed. They have nothing going on. They're 43 years old. They've never had a job. Like, how do you fix that? But you don't fix it by just letting them camp out somewhere. I mean, I don't know what the solution is, because at a certain point in time, it's like, it's so hard to turn people around, and they have to want to turn around. So like it has to be in them that they somehow or another want to do better, because some people don't want to do better. They just want to stay high. They just like, I feel better when I'm high. I just rather stay high, and they just do heroin.
Just get caught in that rut.
You got a lot of huge mega churches out there that aren't doing nothing for them. You got tens of thousands of people in arenas, and I mean, they're not doing shit.
I don't think they can do anything, man. This is
But they're not doing anything.
They're not doing anything, but I don't think they can do anything. I don't know what you can do other than what they've done in Austin, but Austin is small. Like, I had the mayor on, Stephen Adler, and we talked about it. And one of the things that he said was like, it's my goal before I leave office to put a handle on this homeless thing. If I don't do that, I've failed. And I think he did it. But the thing what he said was, we can do it because we only have somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 homeless people. He goes, Los Angeles is unmanageable. They have like 100,000 homeless people. When you get to that point, have you ever seen Skid Row in downtown LA?
Dude, never in person.
Yeah.
It's insane. I saw it in person in the early 2000s before the pandemic, and it was nuts then. Like, I couldn't believe it. And it was engineered. They used to take people when they would arrest them and dump them off on Skid Row. They'd take people and bring them there. Like, they literally set up these homeless shelters, and they set up these food banks, and and these people just live on this street. It's a zombie movie. It's so crazy when you go down there.
Have you
And
seen
when
this?
what is this?
This is saying that there's up to 10,000 people now homeless in Austin.
10,000?
Yeah, 1% of the population.
What?
It's according to the city of Austin's own count.
Holy shit. Is this new?
Yeah, I mean, they moved them out of the downtown area and under the bridges, and they all live out in the parks now, apparently. Like,
Oh, in like state parks?
not even state parks, like the city parks. This is Zilker Park, I think. They're
What?
walking through. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy, man. I didn't know that. So they just got it out of view? Is that what
Yeah,
they did?
I believe so.
So is what it is like there's different people that have to patrol that? It might be different than the cops that are patrolling people on the streets.
168 different camps across the city.
Wow.
Often hidden from public view in the woods.
For sure.
Dude, it's kind of like, sweeping the floor.
Okay,
just
take everything I said back.
under
They
the
didn't
rug
fix
there
it.
a little bit. Or,
They just got it off the
Just blew
streets.
the lid off of that one.
They just got it off the streets, and now there's campments.
Back when your mom said clean the room.
Oh, yeah.
I did a great job.
Yeah,
cleaning the room.
right under the rug.
All under the bed.
So are those all marks on the map that are homeless encampments?
Yeah, as of published February 26th, so I think as of June.
And
Since
so they
April.
think there's 10,000 people. Is this like some New York Post exaggeration?
I don't know.
But that's what the Austin City thinks?
Yeah, city of Austin count.
What do
on
we
their
know about
website.
homelessness in Austin? Wow, so if that's the case, then when the mayor was on, which was a couple of years ago, the number's gone up by 8,000 people.
There's another crazy story. That's what I was looking while you guys were talking. That Mayfair Hotel in L.A.
Yeah.
Remember that's come up in a bunch of documentaries and all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. The city paid $11.5 million in damages because they used that in what they called Project Roomkey, which got a bunch of people off the street into housing. But immediately, drug use, damages in the hallways, violence, all sorts of stuff. And now the city wants to buy that building for like $83 million.
Oh, wow. And
I
do
don't-
what? House homeless
Yeah,
people? And
exactly. Just continue to
let
do
it
it.
stay being a
So you're
shithole?
telling me they gave them a free room and they destroyed it.
Yeah, but they're a little, self-destructive. They're not in the best state of mind. Yeah. I don't know how we got on that subject.
Yeah.
That's
You
nothing
said
but-
something about Buc-ee's. Have you seen the Buc-ee's? They're making they're building one in Mexico, but it's not a Buc-ee's.
It's a
they're-
knockoff?
Yeah, they got them cease and desist and all that shit, and they're still building it.
Did you see what they did with In-N-Out? In Mexico, they have it's not in and out. It's like in knee out, something like that. See,
just tweak it a little bit?
copycat. It's the same logo. It's the same look. Yeah, so it's not called In and Out. What is it called? So this is this is in Culiacan,
In, I, and
Mexico.
out.
In, I, and Out. It looks exactly like In and Out. When you go there, the burgers are all the same. The trays are the same. Animal style. The whole thing's the same. They just stole the menu. They stole the way it looks. And they barely changed the name.
Yeah, got to applaud their effort there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're making Ferraris. It's a fucking cheeseburger.
Right.
You know? You can make a cheeseburger exactly like that cheeseburger.
Yeah, but you could also come up with your own name and name.
Or you could
Different
just
logo.
say, fuck you, I live in Mexico.
Ride the coattails.
Yeah, what they could do is just eventually change the name. Oh, Buck Two's Supermercado. Look, they got the fucking gopher on it and everything. Same as the Buc-ee's guy.
It's not quite as big as the Texas version.
Yeah, it's a little downsized.
Dude, Buc-ee's is an impressive establishment, though.
It's a Walmart.
Dude,
you go in there, you're like, what is this? This is insane. This is at a gas station?
Oh, you go broke at the beef jerky bar. You been to the beef jerky like buffet?
Yeah, it's preposterous.
Oh man, I mean you got to try a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous place. It's so Texas. That's why I talk about it on stage, because it's so fucking Texas. It's so ridiculous.
Speaking of on stage, fucking last night, dude, thank you. It was phenomenal.
Thank you.
What-
Glad you guys had a good time.
Dude, phenomenal time.
You run that place and your whole entire staff. I mean, hats off. It's like watching an orchestra. Like, seriously.
Yeah, they're all very good. Everybody's great. It's a lovely little environment that we've created. It's real fun, and everybody loves it. It's like everybody's having a good time. It's real nice.
And you're working your fucking ass off.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work,
Dude,
but it's not work.
Yeah.
It's talking shit.
Yeah,
It's fun.
I don't know. Dude, my fucking hats off to you. The way, I mean, you're busting ass there, and I don't know where the fuck you get the energy from.
Vitamins.
I'm 40 years old, and I look at you. I'm like, God damn, dude, what
I'm
am
used
I
to
doing
it,
wrong?
though, but I'm used to doing it. I do it every day. It's normal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're on the gas.
It's fun,
dude.
but it's fun. It's just fun. When you're doing stand up, like the hard part is the writing and the creating new bits and working them out on stage. That's the tricky part, the hard part. But the fun part is just like having a good time. And people have fun. It's just having a good time. That's all. You're just making a good time.
Dude, great environment, man.
Yeah.
Cool place.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's just like I was saying, like you guys have this great job. You go and do something that's like very rewarding. That's what owning a comedy club is like. It's like we're providing this really fun experience. It's like you can go, have a couple of drinks, laugh, have a great time, fun people, nice people, loving people. It's like fun, beautiful environment.
There's only a few there's probably like a few jobs in the world that provide that. Like for us, it's you almost live there. It's not a job; it becomes a lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the shop, I spend more time there than I do anywhere else,
Right?
Because that's what you do. That's
Yeah.
the lifestyle that you live.
Yeah, and all the different personalities have to kind of like figure their spot, like figure out how to like get along with each other.
Yeah,
And that could be a real issue.
it can be. That can be a very, very interesting issue. We get like 95 people total,
Oh wow!
and there's different personalities, different
Yeah.
talents, different personalities. A lot of
Well, it's a bunch. They're artists. I mean, they're craftsmen. I mean, imagine having 95 comics all living in the same.
Yeah, you're gonna have issues. Especially if they're around each other all day. Like we only see each other at night,
Yeah.
So you go through your whole day, and most of these guys are like playing golf or doing something else, and then they come to the club.
I think there's a lot of similarities in any type of art and creation, because you are getting some of that instant gratification as far as you're gratifying yourself with what you're creating, but you also get from that customer and you get stuff. You're doing the same thing in the comic stuff. I mean, it's not like you're putting in the work now and then a year from now you'll see if it paid off or not. As far as that
Right.
joke, you like throughout the night you're knowing right now if it's hitting or not hitting or working.
Right.
There's something, I guess, different. I mean, I'm looking at like a corporate job of somebody going and pushing papers and having to wait for a year review before somebody said that you actually moved the needle or did a good job or whatever.
Right. And how much joy are you getting from what you're doing every day?
Right.
That's the big one. Because if you can have a job that pays more money, but you hate it, like that's not a good trade-off. You want to feel good. That's out of all the things in life. Like if you get sick, what's the first thing you think? Like, God, I really should have appreciated when I wasn't sick. I really should have taken care of myself better. I really should have been more careful. I should have got more sleep. I should have taken my vitamins. Like whatever, and you vow, like when I get better, I am going to appreciate this. And that applies to jobs too. If you have a job that sucks and you fucking hate it, you hate what you do, and you do it all the time, and you're just in there because you have to be there all day, like, your day is dread. And if you can get paid less to do something that makes you feel better, that's so much more valuable. As long as you can get by, you are so much better off getting paid less.
and enjoying what you're doing.
Unless you have a family and you have to support people and you have obligations. I understand. I'm not saying you should go fucking risk your life on a whim. But I am saying that, like, if you can pick a path in life that is more enjoyable, I feel like there's a lot of miserable rich people. That's not the end all be. It's a trap. What you really want is to feel good. You really want to feel good about your purpose in life, like the things you do, the way it impacts other people. And that's what you guys do. You guys make sure, like the look on people's faces when you deliver those cars.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
dude, for us, that's what gets you out of bed every morning, because it's hard work. You know, just like how you're out there sweating your ass off and busting your balls, and I'm sure sometimes it's tough. Building cars is the same way. I mean, they rip your heart out. They challenge you. It is tough work. But the finished product, the goal, and what makes it all worthwhile is giving you a car and you drive it and you're like, holy fuck, the thing's badass.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if we made money, lost money, you know, what's going on. That's the goal. That's what I thrive on, you know?
yeah.
That was going to be my point and you hit on it, is you're coming from the mentality of you're going to always work as hard as you have to and then some to be successful at what you're doing. And then because you've put in the work, you're achieving goals, which is what makes you happy. There's people out there that don't want to put in the work.
Right.
And they're unhappy because they're not seeing success, but they're not seeing success or being gratified or being happy with what they're doing because they're not willing to put in the work either.
They don't know what to do. Some people just have no experience in putting in the work. They don't know what that even means.
They don't know what grind.
Yeah, they didn't have that's one of the things that I think is very important about kids with competition, any kind of competition, whether it's chess or whether it's athletics, sports. There's something about realizing that hard work equals getting better. And hard work equals performance. Like you perform better when you work hard, and you learn that. Like through extreme examples are like wrestling. Like people who go through wrestling practice, like you realize like this is hard to do. And if you can get good at this, you can kind of get good at anything. Because if you can push yourself mentally to deal with the grind of wrestling practice, you can kind of do anything. But it's just if you can learn that lesson early on though about working hard. Some people don't ever learn it. They just play video games and eat Twinkies, and then one day they're 40. And they're like, I got to get my shit together.
Wrestling practice, like you said, being at wrestling practice and doing it hard is hard. Becoming a good wrestler is even harder because it's not just at wrestling practice. Like you said, it's when you come back from wrestling practice and thinking that you deserve a fucking treat because you worked really fucking hard that day and you need to eat like shit or you need to do this or you get to go and do. It's all of the lifestyle to perform at a high level that's fucking hard, not just the act of doing what you're trying to do.
Well, especially when you get to like a championship level, when you get to like, you know,
It's a
all
fucking
Americans,
sacrifice.
state champs, national champs. I mean, those guys, there's not a stone unturned. And those guys are animals. They're doing everything exactly the right way because the competition is so stiff. If you don't do it, the edge between you and another guy who's equally talented but works harder, he's going to get better than you. He's going to bypass you. And you feel it in practice. There's guys that, you know are running in the morning before practice. You know these guys are doing the stairs. Those guys have more gas. Those guys are more driven. And you always notice because those are the guys that win in the training room. And that's the same with jiu-jitsu. It's the same with kickboxing, with everything. Like the guys who – there's guys that are like very naturally talented. For whatever reason, they just have great genetics and they learn things better. But oftentimes those guys don't work as hard. Like sometimes the really naturally talented guys are a little lazy because it kind of came easy to them.
And they get outworked.
Yeah. Which the rare ones are the ones that are super talented and also crazy disciplined. That's how you get a Michael Jordan, right? That's how you get a Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah.
You get crazy discipline and insane talent and insane genetics. Oh, yeah. And then you're fucked because you're not going to beat that person. Yeah. There's only a few of those.
It's the devoting everything to just winning and
Yeah.
like nothing else matters. That's the goal. That's the only direction. You sacrifice everything else to get to that level.
Yeah, I think that's not good either, right? Your life is a disaster, but there's one thing you do you're the best at. That's interesting too. It's
Competition.
Yeah.
You either have that competitive, I want to be better, or you
Do
don't.
you guys make cars like thinking about shows, thinking about like SEMA and showing people up? Do you?
You know, we used to do stuff like that, you know, where you're competing for an award, but it's not, you're never looking at like, I'm going to do this because I want to win this award. You're just trying to make the best possible car you can. And it's great. Like at the finish line, if you get said award, and sometimes you've got some customers that like that. You know, some guys are like trophy chasing, or they like parking the car and sitting at the show, and waiting there for the awards ceremony and getting that $500,000 car, and you get that $50 plaque, and it makes it all worthwhile, right? But no, man. I mean, we've changed gears like quite a bit over the years. That for me, it's the driving experience. You know, making a car that's like so functional, workable, that's just a blast to get in and drive, and it's more rewarding. Like getting a guy, dude comes up to the shop, picks up a car, and drives it 1,000 miles home. That's better than getting that little plaque, at a car show, because you blew through an extra like $700,000 trying to make something over the top.
Right.
All for that,
Yeah.
And most of those cars are not drivable at that point, or you're gonna be scared to death to drive it.
Not drivable?
When you're going to like the
show.
insane show car trying to win every
Really? They're not
indoor award.
drivable?
Dude, it's when you look at our industry.
Laughing at me?
When you look at our industry, it's wacky. Like the stuff you see that's so over the fucking top, like those hero cars and stuff. That's not something you're going to jump in and drive. You're not driving that to work. It's just not happening.
When you say hero cars, are you talking about like those Baja Racer things?
No, you see stuff that's like
Riddler
like
award car.
SEMA show coverage, or like the biggest, like the Riddler award, like Josh says. You've got these cars that are like $1 million, $2 million builds, right?
Chrome-plated rotors.
Yeah.
And felt pads. This is like show car upon
so you can't even drive it at all?
No.
Oh, you
It's a
can in
trophy.
and out of the trailer.
Yeah, and the tires are all
What?
wrapped in saran
Yeah.
wrap so the tires don't get dirty. And
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
That's
kind of like
going away now, thank goodness, because of the audience and the customers are changing, right? And they're wanting to use these cars, right? But everybody was so focused on chasing that trophy or go into a show and winning that trophy. We want to go and make a good showing for the company with whatever we bring, right? But worrying about a panel of judges or somebody judging the car and them deciding what's cool, that would be like you not having an audience and just having like Simon Cowell and Paula Abdul saying if it was a good joke or not. You want you want you to know that you're doing good, and by the audience and everybody be like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. And we want our customers, and you want your fans and people that buy our chassis to be like, that's fucking cool.
What would be the purpose of felt rotors?
So it doesn't scratch the chrome and stuff like that. These are show car.
dude,
It's
Felt pads and chrome rotors.
yes.
in and out of the trailer, man. That's it. It's
some
almost
guys
like
paint tires so they look black and they look always perfect.
It's almost like if you look, and I don't want this to sound like disrespectful, but like a competitive bodybuilder versus like a fighter, right? They're both working out. But this dude's building his muscle. He's not using them for anything other than flexing them, right?
Right.
That dude might
Show
like,
muscles? You're talking about show muscles?
Well, I guess it's the same thing
Yeah.
with cars. Like you build these over the top cars, and all they do is they kind of go
Right.
up there and they
The difference between like an NFL running back.
right.
A
That dude's
super
working
athlete.
out. That dude's working out because
Yeah.
he wants to just fucking accelerate down
Right.
the field like a rocket ship. you know?
Versus someone who just wants to
Yeah. Who wants like
just be a mass monster.
right?
Yeah. I just don't understand why anybody would want to make a car that they're not going to drive. That mindset, I don't get that at all. Like there's only one reason to have a car.
It's
Like,
strange. I mean, dude, there's been some wild stuff, like people that like take down the side of their garage or their barn or the top story of their house and place a car in it, and build it back up, and the car lives there forever. It's kind of like, I mean, some of it I get. It could be like art. You can make something that's absolutely fucking beautiful, and it's an art piece. But to me, it's, dude, you're building cars because you want to drive them.
Yeah.
It should be.
I could see having like a really old like Ferrari sitting in one of them rotary things that spins around as like an art piece because they're fascinating to look at.
Sure.
And driving them is probably not the best experience.
Yeah. Not,
Have you ever
not at
driven
all.
like a stock old GTO?
No, and I never have.
It's probably pretty engaging.
Just tons of stock old muscle cars.
They're
you
terrible.
You getting a
So
C1
bad. So
Corvette
bad.
that's stock could be the worst performing vehicle ever.
Really?
Yeah, the ultimate American sports car, and we're always amazed that they're still on the road. That people don't just wad them up in ditches everywhere.
Are they that bad?
Oh, dude, so bad. So all that stuff. You got like the Bronco market. That's crazy. Like the early Bronco stuff.
Yeah.
Because that is a popular truck, and that's one of those things where somebody sees, they just see it and they just want it because they think it's cool and they think they're gonna drive it.
Right.
Like, dude, you're not drive. That's not your Range Rover. Okay, you're
Right.
not gonna drive it. But that's just sure that they want to drive it. It just physically doesn't perform well enough for them to drive it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what we do is fix all that shit. You know, you get that classic look of the car, but it functions like a new vehicle.
I have an Icon Bronco.
Okay, so
Yeah.
well, that's
Yeah.
all chassis
Same
swaps
concept,
and
Same
everything.
thing. Yeah,
Sure.
same thing. But even that, it's like it's so raw. Like the difference between driving that and driving a modern, like a G-Wagon or something like that, it's a joke.
Yeah. How often do you drive that thing?
Well, right now it's getting worked on,
Yeah.
so I'm getting some upgrades.
Upgrade. What do you upgrade? Has it got a Coyote in it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
supercharging it.
Ooh.
Let's go.
See, that's dicey. I mean, you're thinking about the Camaro being fucking sketchy.
Go. I like a little dice.
All right.
They
I
got
like it.
horsepower, 1.5 foot shorter wheelbase.
I like a little dicey. Just every now and then.
What do you do with that truck's just for like bobbing around town though? Or
Yeah. It's just for fucking around. Yeah. I have a Land Cruiser that Icon made for me. That's a real like performance Land Cruiser. It's like really set up for off-road.
Yeah.
And it's real. It's got a supercharged LSA in it.
Nice.
So it's got a lot of power.
Sure.
But it's got those solid axles and it's lifted and
All the good stuff.
When the snow came, we had like a snow apocalypse and everything shut down in Austin. I loved it. My car was like a Labrador Retriever just rolling around the snow like, yay! It's like, this is what we're designed for.
Yeah.
It just handled everything so well. Like I literally built an apocalypse truck. It's got a big ass gas tank. Back seats come out so it can be completely flat. You can store things in it. It's got extra batteries. It's got winches and the whole
That's
deal.
cool.
What do you do
What
about
did-
EMP pulse?
About what?
Well, if that happens, does that shut off regular cars? How does it do that?
Fries all the electronics. It won't
So
run.
if fry the electronics that runs the LSA.
You gotta have like something that runs on biodiesel.
You're going down a fucking rabbit hole.
Oh,
now.
dude,
a
you
big
get into that
rabbit hole.
apocalypse
Absolutely.
vehicle
Josh is
stuff.
building a Model T in his
So
garage.
what
just
would
crank start
cause?
that fucker.
Yeah, right. What would cause the EMT flare?
They talk about China doing an EMP flare.
They talk about it. Who's they?
Oh, you read
QAnon
about-
forums?
You read it. Yes,
What are you
some
reading,
chat,
bro?
chat rooms. Yeah.
Your
Well,
AOL chat rooms.
still
yeah.
have
It is
chat rooms.
possible. That is the thing about all these cars that are controlled by electronics. It's something to think about. You know, these modern engines, these crate engines, they all come with electronics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know,
everything
dude.
does.
Something like that happens. I'm gonna go out with whatever the fuck's going on. I'm not too worried
You're
about
not
that.
running around.
Yeah, I think you got the right idea with your apocalypse vehicle. Well, Jonathan Ward, he does some cool shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's all icon stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Jonathan's an interesting cat.
He is, dude. We had him on. We did a little podcast. We had him on there. He's cool as hell. I mean, he's
Very
kind of
cool.
like a competitor, I guess you'd say, but we respect him. We had him on, and he's an eccentric dude, man. Interesting.
He's a real
interesting
artist.
Guy.
He's a
He
real
is.
artist. And you know, what he's doing is interesting too. He takes a lot of cars like you guys do when you do the Legend series, where he doesn't do anything to the outside of them. He leaves this funky old patina of like sun-baked paint and blotches and shit. But meanwhile, inside it's immaculate, and the suspension's immaculate, and everything drives incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, he does that with a bunch of old cars.
Yeah, we do. That's like the majority of our business, believe it or not. Like all the dudes that have had like really over the top, shiny, cool, big dollar cars,
Mm-hmm.
they all want that. Find like an old Camaro, it's priceless, right? You find a
Right.
'69 Camaro that's got faded old paint, and it's unsuspecting, flies under the radar, but it's like 900 horsepower, crazy motor, air conditioning, power windows, full chassis underneath it.
Yeah.
A sleeper.
Yeah, well, there's something cool about that too, because you're not worried about it getting dirty.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the thing about people walking up to their car with the microfiber cloth and just pulling everywhere they go. It's like, come on, man.
I've only built patina cars because I can't stand wiping down my own stuff after dealing with customer cars. And
Oh, really? So your personal cars are all patina cars?
Yeah.
Really? What do you
Yeah, me
got?
too.
77 C10. He's got a 76. Yours is 77 as
77.
well. His is lifted. Mine's lowered. We're doing a 70 Trans Am.
Trans Ams were a car. The Burt Reynolds days. Those are a car that still kind of holds up.
Yeah, this is pre Burt Reynolds. This is the 70 where it was
those
like
are great.
That's an ass kicker, dude. You talk about like, you know, that falls right in line with your Camaro. Like
Yeah, let me see 70 Trans Am.
70's
Jamie.
white with the blue stripe, and it's a rare car because that's another one. It was original paint.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's a dope car. Yeah, there's something about the hood scoop and those cars that just like, especially the Burt Reynolds ones. Have a lot of people done like resto mods on those?
Yeah, the Burt Reynolds. That's one of those things where it's like that.
Jesus Christ, what is that thing?
Yeah, it's a wild race car thing. There's one of your SEMA kind of builds. But the Burt Reynolds one, so many people have done that. Dude.
Yeah.
But that's a car, the 70, dude, that's a car that, like, that proves you can buy cool. Because you buy that, I don't care who the fuck you are. You're driving that, you're a bad motherfucker. That's a cool car.
It's a cool car. Yeah. There's those old trucks lend themselves to that patina look, don't they?
They do. So I drive a 77. It's 4x4. It's one of those legend trucks. That's the only.
You
That's
got a picture of it?
It's on the website.
It's on the web. Well, if you just Google like Roadster Shop Legend 77 truck, it comes up. There's a bunch of articles and stuff on it, but that's what I daily drive. It's that tan one that's shredding the.
Yeah. Blue one's mine, tan one's his.
Where's the tan one? The upper left?
The down low.
Yeah, down there.
That's
yeah.
it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Just getting after it.
So what's that got in it?
That's a 650 horse supercharged LT4, but it's all like independent front suspension, push button 4-wheel drive.
Oh, wow.
So I leave it outside. I don't park it in the garage because my kids' toys are all filling up, one half of the garage, and that's my daily transportation.
Wow. That's a sleeper, huh?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that thing just wrecks dudes, and like I drive a lot of cool fast shit where it's flogging customer cars, but that truck, it's like anytime I drive it, there's some dude in like a C8 or some badass muscle car, and I just ruin their day constantly in that fucker.
Put it in 4-wheel drive.
Well, it's
and smoke 'em
probably
off the
pretty
line.
light.
It's not. Yeah, it's like probably a little over 4,000 pounds.
For a big-ass truck, that's
Yeah.
pretty light.
That thing screams.
That's like a modern Mustang, right?
Yeah, you're right in line with any of that stuff.
Yeah. Which is pretty crazy with 650 horsepower, and it's a truck.
Yeah, it's essentially like a 2018, 2019 Chevy truck 'cause it's got all the new Chevy suspension under it, the independent front and the live axle, and I mean it's got the radiator module, the cooling stack. I mean under the hood and underneath it is like a brand new Chevy truck.
Does
It's
it
just got
handle like a brand new Chevy
Handles
truck?
like a brand new truck, dude. Yeah, 100 miles an hour down the highway, one hand on the wheel.
Wow.
Yeah.
But there's
I gotta-
something cool about that, like you talked about the patina and the thing. We've got so many of these customers. We're building a dozen of these things right now for guys that we built other cars for. But it's like a old pair of boots or old pair of jeans that you can't buy a new pair that would fit like that, right? Your
Right.
favorite. So you're finding these. Like we got one that's like a Northwestern, like Oregon or Washington, like state park truck, right? It was that green, and that thing had what? 20-something thousand original miles on it, original paint.
Yeah, it's a cream puff.
Interior is cool, and then another guy's finding one. He's like,
Well, that's Matt Saxon.
Oh, yeah.
who you bought
Oh,
the,
yeah.
The,
The
70
Chevelle.
Chevelle from.
Yeah.
That's his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
building
he sent me pictures of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
You're still able to build a one-off car that can't be duplicated because you're finding something super unique and original that Mother Nature weathered for you,
Yeah.
and then have something that nobody else can have.
hey, you're finding stuff that came from fire departments or old ranches. I mean, guys are searching all because you want that little bit of that
Yeah.
story of like nobody's going to recreate this truck. That
Yeah, there's my car.
Yeah.
Ooh, baby. Look
Dude,
at that
that is-
fucking thing, son.
What a sexy car. I never get tired of looking at that one.
Well, I told you guys a story about why I was infatuated with that car. When I was 16 years old, my friend picked me up in one. His buddy was driving. It was his car, and I remember being in the car thinking, how can someone own this? How is it possible that this could be like you could have this?
Yeah.
Someone can have this. This is insane. Because it was so cool.
What year? What era?
Same exact. When for
Yeah,
me,
yeah, when's that going down?
I guess it was 82, 83, somewhere around there. 16, yeah, I was 83. Yeah, and I remember just thinking, this is the most insane thing. I can't believe a person could own this car. It was just so cool. And he ran out of gas. It was really funny. And coasted right into the gas station and stopped like right at the pump. I'm like, this is the coolest guy that's ever lived. He has a Chevelle. He runs out of gas at the perfect time on a hill and coasts into the
Played it
fucking
off
gas
like
station.
he meant to do that
Like
shit.
literally, we were laughing. Like filled the gas tank like right there.
well, the Chevelle,
Skill.
the Camaro, and now the Cuda are three very similar yet completely different vehicles.
Yeah.
You know, but each one of them has their place. Like, I don't know, you feel different driving the Chevelle. Like you want to. It's a different state of mind. It's,
Dude,
it's that OG
you feel
kind
like
of
fucking Wooderson. You feel like
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
So are you friends with your buddies?
Yeah.
With him? Has he seen it?
No, he hasn't seen it. I told him I have it though.
Oh, that shaped my career, right? That fucking movie and that car, and then that's why that car exists, is because of him. I mean, Matt came to us to build one. We're like, it's going black and white, dude, 100%. This
Yeah.
is what you're getting.
Black
He was
and
on
white is
board.
the best look. There's cools. I've seen some cool ones that are silver with black stripes. That's a pretty cool
It's a
look.
good second.
But number one is black with
Yeah.
white stripes for that car. There's other ones like the red with white stripes. Like,
It's not as tough.
Red with black stripes is pretty. What was that movie, Reacher? He had a red with black stripes.
Yeah.
Is that it? It's not bad.
No, not as cool as Wooderson though. You
Yeah.
know, fucking-
Well, it's just sometimes like with a certain shape, that color, just like color combinations are just iconic.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that car, the body lines in the side of
Yeah.
it, it's got these like, you know, cool little hips and eyebrows and the body lines, and the black makes it pop.
Yeah, it's just again, that's that era where they just figured some shit out. That wacky dude in his crazy suits.
How do you pick that? Like, you got the Chevelle sitting there and the Camaro sitting there. What frame of mind are you when you're like, I'm taking the Chevelle?
I don't know.
What's the decision process?
The
there?
Chevelle's the loudest and least civilized
Yeah.
out of all the cars. It's the most rowdy because it's got that 454 in it. You know, naturally aspirated. It sounds insane, and it's so like in the interior of it looks exactly like, except for the dash, it looks exactly like the original car. It's much more of a throwback, you know.
It's like asking what album you're going to listen to.
Yeah.
It's like what
I
mood.
guess.
It's like,
yeah, yes. Well, that's what I was getting at. 'Cause,
Yeah.
You know, kind of
That's like that one's my favorite. Matt would send it back to the shop when we were doing road tours or something, and we'd do the basic service work and then ship it to wherever he was going, and get in and just rip first, second, third in that car, and it was just smile ear to ear. I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck yeah, this is why we do this shit.
You
Yeah.
did that because you're rolling that fucker through the high schools trying to pick up them high school girls, man.
All right.
did you have to roll your sleeves up or did it do it automatically? when
It
you
did
got
automatically when it came in. Yeah, hair kind of grew out a little bit longer.
Yeah, that look of the rolled with the cigarette in the
Yeah.
upper sleeve.
Yeah.
Where'd that go? That went away.
It did.
Yeah.
Probably a blessing.
That was like a cool look for guys for a while. They
Yeah.
would roll a pack of cigarettes up in their sleeve. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
I think you
this-
should bring it back.
I've fortunately never have done
There
that.
it is. The cigarettes in the sleeve. Look at him. All right.
I don't know why they ever did that. I wasn't around for that era. You'd think you'd have pockets. Maybe
The
the
jeans were too tight for the
I
pockets.
think so.
I think
You're
people
wearing
were
those.
just weird back then.
Just
They're just lost. They didn't know
just
what was-
showing everybody off that they smoked. You know,
They had no internet. They didn't know what to do. They were just trying to imitate cool people. They didn't know what to do. It's the beginning of modern culture.
Hey, that's as cool as it gets for me right there.
what's
Yeah.
left on the bucket list for cars?
I don't know. I'm just enjoying what I got right now. That's how I'm kind of doing. It's like, come on. I got a lot of cars.
Yeah, it's a lot to look after.
Yeah.
It's stressful, isn't it?
No.
No,
No.
stressful
no.
for
Being
me.
poor is
It's a quick
stressful.
answer.
Well, I guess.
This
Yeah. I hate to
looking
say it
after
like
cars
that.
is just a thing. It's just a thing that you do. It's not stressful. It's just a thing. You know? Got to do things.
Yeah, yeah. I accumulate too much crap and it stresses me out. You know.
It can, if you let it fuck with you. Yeah. But that's like hoarders, you know? That's the
suppose.
ultimate example of it.
Yeah, right.
You're not
That's a
there
fucking
yet.
Lifestyle. No.
No.
Yeah, look at all this shit going on fucking eBay now. All these people that, I mean, even just like the iPhone 1 is going for big fucking money. And like all these electronics that nobody, like those Nokia phones that were bulletproof or whatever are going for big fucking money on the internet. All this shit from our era that we threw out in fucking shoeboxes or it was in the kitchen drawer and shit.
How much are people
Not my
paying for
mom.
iPhone 1s?
iPhone 1s are going for big money.
$60,000.
Get out of here.
What do
you
you
can
even
find one in a package still?
What do you do with it?
Oh,
Just
if
put
you
it
can
on your
find it in a
shelf?
package.
Yeah, that's the big problem.
How weird is that? How weird is that? Someone would give you $60,000 for a phone that sucks.
Did you see them last week? They were talking. This is on the news or whatever. This is all dumb, useless knowledge. But
That's your area of
they
expertise.
were selling the iPhone. If you had an iPhone that hadn't been updated, it still had the Twitter logo and not the new X logo. They were selling those for big money. I swear.
But it'll automatically upload if you get on
I guess
Twitter.
if you've got a broke phone that it won't automatically
Oh.
upload. I
Well,
guess
then-
somebody
then
has
all
to
your
have
apps will suck. Like, what's wrong with
Who's gonna spend big money for a phone just because it's still got the old Twitter logo? Like, what's the?
dorks? The same kind of people that have felt rotors in their cars. There's dorks out there. They're just people like weird shit. I don't understand. Like when Post Malone was on here, he told me he paid $2 million for a Magic the Gathering card.
Dude.
That's a bit much.
I wouldn't
Seems
have
like
pegged
a
him
little
as,
pricey.
as
Man,
That's a little nerdier than I thought he was.
Oh, he loves that shit.
is.
Yeah, when I was hanging out with him backstage after a show, he's like, "We're gonna go play Magic the Gathering. You want to come?" I'm like, "No."
See, but dude, that's
you guys have a good time. Go to sleep.
That's what happens. Like I remember the Magic the Gathering kids in high school, and you're fucking with them, right?
Yeah, but now they're
They
cool.
They grow up to be Post Malone. Like who's laughing at Post Malone?
Most of them do not. The vast majority do not grow up to be Post Malone. Yeah, but yeah, he's into it. I mean, what? Who knows why people are into what? He's into muscle cars too. He's got a crazy Hennessy 6-wheel Raptor. It's like a Velociraptor with the 4 wheels in the back.
Man, that's definitely that's a statement piece, I guess. Is
Yeah.
the polite way of putting that.
I just don't understand that car.
Would you drive one of those?
Yeah, if I had one, I'd drive it.
Really?
But like,
Would you
why?
have one?
I have a Hennessy.
Yeah,
I
the
have a
6-wheel
TRX.
Do you?
Yeah, I have a 1,000 horsepower TRX. It's ridiculous.
The 6-wheel though always just seems like it's the Eastern European villain from one of the Fast and Furious franchise movies.
Right.
It's
From
just,
Despicable Me. It's
Yes.
Gru's car.
it's just a little, yeah.
He says he can't park it. He says he goes to Applebee's and it sticks out, and he feels bad because it's like fucking jutting into the next.
Him going to
Parking
Applebee's
spot.
is the punchline of that story.
He
What-
loves Applebee's.
Really?
Yeah, Post loves Applebee's.
Damn. Does he get the I wonder if he gets the sampler over there, dude. The sampler fucks at Applebee's. I'm with him, dude. Yeah.
Applebee's has some fans. Comfort food.
The Jack Daniels barbecue.
That's
it.
TGI Fridays.
sorry.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
way
man, you're confusing your shitty
I'm sorry.
restaurants.
I'm sorry.
Dude, what's it? 1,000 horsepower in a TRX. Is
It's
that?
ridiculous.
Do you use
It's
it?
so fast.
Do you use the power and all you get? On
I mean,
it?
you kind of do. I mean, what it does, it just does like normal acceleration much quicker. Post has a black one, I think. Is it white? Oh, yep, that's it. Okay. I saw. Oh, with the photo that we showed of his the other day was a black one. It must not have been his, unless he got a new one. But yeah, he's a wild fella.
I'm not going to say shit.
Yeah,
he's
cool.
into some cool
He's a
shit.
cool fucking dude.
Good for him. Fucking get whatever the fuck you want.
That's got to be a heavy ass truck too. That's a lot of weight.
That's just a lot of
A
thinking.
lot of things.
To
a lot of
fuck
things
with,
going
yeah.
on.
Dude, to be honest with you, Josh has a Raptor. I could see you modding that thing out, adding a second set of wheels to it.
No, you can't.
That's kind of your style, a little bit.
They
Oh, yeah.
they like to fuck with me
Fucking
all the
parking
time.
that thing fucking long ways in front of the shop in the
Dude,
morning.
you could put the Doberman in the front seat of
It
that.
does seem like a waste of time.
A little bit.
Why not put 2 in the front too?
I
How
would-
about 3 in the front?
If
How
I
about
got
5 in the back?
6-wheel Raptor, I've got a mini giraffe. I'm not fucking with a Doberman at that point. I'm just doing a mini giraffe.
Yeah, just a giraffe with his head out the window. Not know what the fuck's going on. Well, have you guys ever had someone come to you with a project and you're like, I don't want to do this?
Things have changed over the years. I'll say that. I'm sure it's similar to your career. Like when you got first started, young Joe Rogan, like somebody came to you for some TV show thing or something. You're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. In our youth, early days, we painted a fucking car like a lobster for a guy. Dude, it's yeah.
Didn't think we were
Like with
going there.
claws
but-
and stuff?
I'm gonna give
No, the whole car.
I don't have any shame. I'll disclose it, right? It was like 1940, 30 something Hollywood Graham that somebody hot rodded, and he's in the seafood business, so he wanted it painted like a lobster. So we legitimately took this thing and airbrushed it looks like a fucking lobster, right?
Is
And
it online?
I don't
No.
think we put that on the website.
We kept that
dude.
off. Yeah.
Just because you worried someone else would ask for something?
Yeah,
I thought we
mine to be a clam.
it's out there somewhere, but no, where we're at now, we've got such a massive backlog of work that you can. Yeah, I don't want to do something that you want to be a little passionate about it, right? So
Sure,
if it totally
yeah.
sucks, yeah,
Right.
we'll kind of politely decline. That's just not really for us.
Most of the customers that are coming that are legit and they want something built, they're coming because they're fans or they're followers. They again, like artists, not to put ourselves on anything, but they've seen the work you've done previously and they're like, I want a Roadster Shop version of whatever.
Right.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
Fucking A. I mean, you've been great about that. Like, I fucking want a Chevelle, whatever. The bad part is when it's a video that launches or anything that goes up, you get a massive influx of customer emails. Phil has to usually deal with those. And it's the ones that, unfortunately, you have to get back to everybody, treat everybody like the same. But if it's I've got a 92 Corsica, and I want to do it rear-wheel drive with an LS, how much would that cost? Well, we all know that that's probably not if you had the money to build the Corsica, you wouldn't own a Corsica. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you would have something else. You'd be calling about a Camaro or something like
Unless
that. So
you're
that's
an eccentric rich dude.
yeah. None of those have panned out.
Not Corsicas. I don't even remember what a Corsica looks like.
It's like remember the shitty front wheel drive GM cars that were like.
Have you had anybody come to you and say they want to build something like this up?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it happens all the fucking
constantly.
time.
It's
Really?
10 a week.
constantly.
Emails,
Really?
yeah.
Basically, to change anything from what it is. If it's front wheel drive, they want to make it rear wheel drive. If it's rear wheel drive, let's make it front wheel drive. Let's make it all wheel drive. Let's make it EV. Right now, the EV thing is stupid. Let's EV everything because, or
Un-EV it.
I've got a Tesla. Let's put an LS in it. You know, I know Rich Benoit did
Yeah.
a lot of stuff there, but it's always these guys just want to fuck with shit. Let's do something that wasn't done.
Interesting.
And it's not about because it's cool or let's make something beautiful, let's
Right.
make it usable. Let's just fuck with it.
So, do you guys have like a large backlog now of people that want to do projects?
We do, yeah. I mean, on the car build side, we probably, at any given point, we're working on 30-ish projects, and it's a couple of years to get something going.
Damn.
But the bulk of our business, our focus is chassis manufacturing. So, we build, over 1,000 performance chassis a year, and that's the fun one where you can take on those projects like that. Like, dude calls, there's a Bricklin kit car that was just in the shop. We've got donks that come through there and step vans, delivery van, like crazy stuff because
Fire truck.
somebody else is going to we'll build the chassis. Somebody else is going to take it from there.
Right.
And they're
Another
gonna,
shop's doing it.
Right,
Have
and
you,
they're-
you know what a Bricklin looks like? You'd
No.
look good in a Bricklin.
Oh, fuck.
What's a Bricklin? What is it?
It was
It's
like
a
a kit, yeah, it was a
72
kit car from
Bricklin?
the 70s.
SV or whatever.
Yeah, they put them on a Corvette chassis,
Big
right?
gull wing doors, and it was
Oh God. For
yeah.
drug dealers.
or guys that play Magic the Gathering kind of card guys.
No, these would be successful
Oh
hobby
God.
shop.
Look at that thing.
Successful hobby shop owner is perfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Successful hobby shop owner is hilarious. That's a hilarious description. Wow, what a gross piece of shit.
Oh, yeah.
That thing's awful. That thing's awful.
Yeah, but
They have a cult following.
The shop that's building it and the customer, they've got a vision. They're going to take that and modernize and do a bunch of crazy cool shit. But
Well,
yeah,
I can see that. I've seen people do stuff like that with like Ford F40s. You know,
Yeah.
I've seen them do stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. You know, like mod them and wide body them, and that car's tiny. That's a tiny little car.
On which car?
The Ford, the original Ford GT,
Oh.
the original one, not the
Yeah.
2005 one. What is it called? Not F40. What is it called?
GT40.
GT40.
Yeah, that's
GT40.
That's a sick car.
Sick
man.
car. But a lot of people have done things to those, like taken them and like extremely modded them
Yeah.
and put twin turbo engines in them and wide bodied them and shit. And it's just like, wow.
Yeah. Well, Sue Performance brought those back, so they made it available because you could get like an
Yeah, they're all
exact reproduction of that car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're starting with kit cars
Yeah.
to do that. The original ones are worth millions. So
Who does that?
Sue Performance. They do a ton of them. Man.
Sue? S-U-E?
S-U-P-E-R. Super.
Oh,
Super
Super Performance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do a lot of the Cobras and stuff, and
They're fucking bad.
it's a nicely built piece. But that's a car you don't need that kind of power in. I mean, that thing's like this big.
Yeah,
you know?
they're so tiny.
Right.
That's why it's crazy that people are putting like twin turbocharged 1,000 horsepower engines in them and shit.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
That'd be along the lines of the Porsche you're talking about. Just analog is.
Right.
Holy shit, look at that thing.
Yeah, they do a good job.
So they build a brand new one.
It's brand new, built exactly like the original car was built, except the body's not aluminum.
Wow.
It's Shelby licensed. It goes in the register too.
And is it all modern suspension and
It's exact duplicate of what was there.
so it drives like the original car?
Yeah, I think they got like a ZF transaxle in them or something like that, which would be like a Pantera kind of transaxle.
Modernized
horsepower is that?
coilovers and brakes, but yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
So just some suspension
Yeah.
components
Little mild upgrades.
and same horsepower as
They're
You
doing
can-
modern motors.
Yeah, you can put whatever you want in them. But that's a good example. That's like the Porsche example. Like, put the right, like 500 horsepower in that. That thing's gonna be a thrill.
Right.
Just an absolute blast to drive.
Yeah, and if you went too much, it'd probably be unmanageable, right?
Yeah, especially mid-engine like
Yeah.
that. That's, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how mid-engine cars, like like in America, all we have is the Corvette, right?
That's what we've got now. I mean, now you get the Corvette and you got the new GT,
Right,
which
the new
isn't
GT.
exactly
Yeah,
as
but it's-
mainstream as the the C8.
Yeah, and I have the old GT. I have a 2005.
That's a rad car.
Yeah, it's a rad car, but it's like there's only a few of those, right?
Yeah.
That's not like, but as far as production cars, like the Corvette is like the first time America has like made like a mass production car.
Yeah.
You've never gravitated to the newer Vets, have you?
I don't like the automatic. If they had a stick, I'd buy one. They just don't. They don't do that anymore for whatever reason. It's like I just think they're missing out on what's fun about driving a car. It's like Porsche still gets it, Mustang still gets it, but they don't get it when you get up to like the GT500s. That was the old thing about the old GT500. You could only get it in a stick.
Yeah.
I had like a 2011 or something like that. It was great.
That was a scary car. I've driven a couple of
It was
those.
fucking great. I loved it.
It was way before trash control or anything like that. That thing was just...
It was super squirrely, like around corners and shit. But it was fun. You knew what it would do.
Yeah.
Like you could, but it was also like just a thrill to drive. The rumble. It was very old school muscle car esque, but with like a new look to it. But it handled like an old. It didn't handle like a great handling car. It had a solid rear axle and just overpowered.
Besides
front
the
heavy.
Tesla, what's the fastest car you've owned?
The Tesla's the fastest by far and above all the other ones. It just it buries them all. But I have a 911 GT3 RS from Sharkworks, and that's a 2007. And it has like 518 horsepower, and it sounds like a dragon.
Yeah.
That thing's pretty fucking fast, and the handling on the thing is extraordinary. Yeah, it's so good. It handles it's so thrilling. You feel everything in that car, and it's so capable. That was a great car.
Those are good wheelbase, like square, short,
Super
everything.
light.
Yeah, just
Yeah. And you get used to that ass end, that power coming out of that right behind you. It's very intoxicating. It's a totally different feel in the handling, where the balance is of the car.
Isn't that like when that thing slides out, isn't it kind of like a narrow window before it's gone?
Yeah, it's tricky for sure. You got to know what you're doing. You can't just stomp on the gas when it's sliding. You're not Chris Harris. Just be careful. Don't do anything stupid.
Dude, what's that CUDA feel like pushing it through those same? You got some killer windy roads by you. What's that CUDA feel like compared to?
It handles
some of
really,
those,
really
like,
well.
Porsches.
Well, it's big, right? It's a big car, so it's a little different. It's a different kind of experience, but it handles so well because when you're describing the balance of it with the rear transaxle, that totally makes sense to me because you feel that while you're driving it. It's like really balanced, and it's just glued to the road too. It's great.
Kids or wife into them at all? They give a shit?
Nope, don't like them at all. My kids do. Sometimes they think it's fun, but my wife thinks they're just loud and noisy. She thinks they look pretty. They look pretty, but they're just loud and noisy.
Damn.
Here's what I get. Thanks. What about your family? Do they get sick of them?
My daughter's in college. She's always been kind of into cool shit. But my son, he didn't care nothing about anything car related until he was 15, and then now it's all it is. But again, you've met him, and Conor McGregor's still his idol, and he wants to live the Conor life. It's
No, he wants to be on a yacht.
It's difficult to live the Conor life on a 16-year-old
Conor.
budget. Yeah,
It's difficult to do it on a Conor budget. That guy has to keep making tons of money. That lifestyle is crazy.
yeah. But he's into it. We've been fixing up a little Audi coupe for him, and
nice.
He's into it and shit. And then their kids are both younger. Both their sons are
Yeah,
full blown.
my son's a nut with that stuff, dude. He drove with me and your CUDA out to Columbus, Ohio, when we were kind of shaking that thing down. And dude, he's at 12 years old. He knows more about that car and just cars in general than just about anybody you know.
That's
But
interesting.
He's into it.
Yeah, well, it's fun. It just speaks to people.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
for him, for being a kid, that's what's cooler than that. Like if, you look like kids are playing with Matchbox cars and like his dad's building the real ones, like the full scale.
Do you think we're ever going to come to a time in this country where internal combustion engines are outlawed?
I don't think so, man. I really don't. I think you're gonna see that like come full circle. Just in my opinion.
Outlawed or gone away because
California-
alcohol was outlawed as as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, take California out of the equation, though.
But that's what they're doing is crazy. You can't buy new internal combustion engines after 2035. And I think this is like
20-something other states fixing to adopt it the same way because you can do it without a vote.
Yeah, it's crazy. They did it without a vote. I don't think it makes sense. I really don't. I don't think there's enough minerals in the ground. I don't think just the mining alone that would have to happen, and the reality of what happens in that mining, like, people need to understand what they're talking about. They're talking about batteries. Like, this idea that batteries just come from fairies, and that now all of a sudden you have this like zero carbon impact vehicle. Like, that's nonsense. That's complete total nonsense. You're ignoring the entire supply chain
process of what it takes to make that. What is with people that they won't recognize, that they don't want to recognize that?
Some people didn't know about it until I had this guy on my podcast, Siddharth Kara, who wrote a book about it, and he went to the Congo to show these illegal mines, like what they're doing. I mean, it's not illegal. There's no law, right? But they have children working in these mines. They have women working in these mines with babies on their back, and they're mining toxic cobalt. And this stuff is, I mean, there's no protection, there's no safety. These people are like chipping this shit out of the ground. And that's a good percentage of all the cobalt that's involved in electronics and batteries and cell phones and all the things that we need. And it's not very publicized. And it's this man exposed it, and he risked his life to do it, and he wrote a great book about it. And the podcast was insane, like listening to his story and how he risked his life to get this footage. And and there were several times where there was men with guns, and he got questioned, and he had a bunch of people that were helping him, but he got out of there eventually with this reality that everybody now is faced with. It's like, this is how they get the stuff that you need to run your cell phone. Like, stop thinking that you have zero impact. If you're buying this, you're contributing to this. We all are. And we don't want to keep our fucking heads buried in the ground and pretend it's not happening.
Yeah.
And to say that, like, everything has to be electronic, like, slow down. Like, where is this coming from? Who's making it? What are the conditions like in the places where these people have to put your phone together? What are the conditions like?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Dude.
I mean, Foxconn has nets around the building because people were jumping off.
What?
Yeah, where they make iPhones. They put nets around the building because so many people are committing suicide.
They just run
So
right
instead,
out the windows.
they're working constantly. They work constantly. They sleep there.
They had beds underneath their desks or their work areas, and it was sleep underneath, work, sleep, work.
Show
and
the
then
photo of
jump.
the nets around Foxconn.
Man.
It's bananas.
Yeah, I just feel like some
Look at that.
Oh, Jesus.
They're nets
Hope
all
our
around the
employees
building.
are listening. It could be worse.
You know how wild that is? Like, if you're going to jump off a building, you can't do it here. Get out of here. Or if you do, you better have good aim.
Man.
You got to aim for
Work
where
on your
there's no
long jump.
net.
How do you
Just-
explain that to people, like when you're walking executives into the building?
We've had
They're
a
like,
huge bird problem.
what do we-
We've had a
yeah.
huge bird
You know how
problem.
crazy that is? You've had so many people commit suicide, and your solution is put nets around the building. Those people just go up to the top floor, fuck this, bang. I
Wow.
want it to be over.
Just lock them like all the casinos do. Just lock the windows.
Well, you got to get to the roofs to do
And
maintenance.
There's just got to be like better representation of both sides so that people understand.
Well, really,
all
we
this
should
stuff,
be
you
making
know.
phones in America, and they should
We
be,
should be fucking
American
making everything
made
in
with
America, dude.
American wages, where people get health and dental and all the stuff you're supposed to get, and you have a living wage. That's what it's supposed to be. And if your phone costs a little more to do that, and if Apple makes a little less, that's how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to be using slave labor to do stuff. And,
Right.
we don't have an ethical choice. It's not like, if you want to be a part of today's society, you kind of have to have a smartphone. If you're answering emails and doing business, it's way more convenient to
Yeah.
do that than to not have one. And there's not like this like very obvious ethical choice. Like, hey, this company only uses high-paid labor. Everybody has insurance. There's none of that. If they only work X amount of hours a day, there's none of that. You get these things, and they're all manufactured overseas.
Is it 2030 is the year? Is that what California's law
I
is?
think it's
2035.
2035. Yeah.
If they were to do that and say it was nationwide, right, and no new cars after 2035 can be, but they don't touch. I mean, obviously you're not going to be able to do anything with what's existing. Any of the ICE motors that are out there that's
It's gonna be like
existing.
Judge Dredd.
Yeah, imagine what the cost of like a 2020 F-150 would be worth then.
Think it'd be more desirable or less desirable?
I mean, I would assume that at least 50-something% of the population is going to be like, fuck that, I'm never going that. I'm going to keep buying my gas motors, right?
Well, the thing that always is going to be an issue with cars is charging them. It takes time, right? So you have to sit there. So if you're fully out of juice and you're on a cross-country trip, how long does it take when you go to those supercharger stations to get you up to 100% again? How long is that? Is it a few hours?
Yeah.
Longer than you want to be sitting there.
Yeah.
That's for
So
damn sure.
with rising crime and having places where people are going to be
Sitting duck.
stuck and no security, especially in places like L.A., good luck with that.
Oh, yeah.
My friend Eddie was telling a story the other day about he almost got robbed at a gas station, and he realized these guys were coming towards him, and he got out just in time. But he's like, you know how you've been in your car so many times that you can just, you know where everything is instantly. Right. You don't have to fumble. He says, if that's what saved me, that I just jumped in my car and I knew how to, and I was just moving already.
Crazy.
The guy was moving towards him.
Dude, that's a little bit like the net scenario, though. Like, what's the problem that we're not solving? That, like, why the fuck are there nets? Why are you afraid to go sit there and charge your car at the gas station?
Well,
because you're gonna get fucking robbed for sitting there for an hour.
Is nobody looking at airline travel and the way planes are made with doing anything away with doing electric motors on that kind of shit? The stuff that would actually make a...
There's a concept that's
Really?
Currently being developed for a solar-powered plane. I talked to a guy about it like over a year ago, and they were explaining it. And they have, I think they've done a bunch of test flights, and they're about to, and it's going to be able to go a long way. I just don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know like how much range does it have? How safe is it? Like. You don't want you don't want to be an early adopter.
Well, not when you're in the sky.
Like flying cars. Like you see flying cars, like I'm gonna sit that out.
Yeah,
give it
10 years. That one out.
People keep an eye on it.
Yeah. How many
Maybe
douchebags are gonna fly into power lines? How many people are gonna fly into trees and start forest fires?
I think that when they announced that in California, wasn't like the next day they also had an announcement for people to stop charging their cars because
it was like a week later.
What a fucking
Please
fail.
don't charge. That's the other thing.
It was too hot and it maxed out the grid.
If everybody had an electric car, the strain on the grid would be monumental. I don't know if most grids, the way they're set up right now, would be able to handle that. Like if everybody had an electric car, wouldn't that take like substantial upgrades to the grid?
Yeah, dude, it's just infrastructor, Joe. We just
Do you-
we just
Using
invest in infrastructure, man. Like,
I like how you're saying it. Like it makes sense.
Right.
You're so confident.
Do you think they're worried about all of that stuff, or they know that it's impossible? That's why you push it out to. It just looks really good on the ballot.
It does look really good on the ballot. That's part of the problem. Is a lot of people have these knee-jerk reactions to like very complex, nuanced problems, like the environment. Like I had Mike Baker on yesterday, and we talked about this. And one of the things he's saying, like, the vast majority of the pollution, the carbon emissions in the world is coming from China and India. That's the vast majority of it. And they're not going to change. They're not going to change what they do. No matter what we do, we're not going to put a dent in what they're doing. And there's a bunch of people that think that the way to get us out of this and the way to mitigate climate change in terms of like human impact on it is actually to build up poorer communities and get them on an electrical system, get nuclear power to these places or solar or something, and like elevate their standard of life. You'll have less pollution. You'll definitely have less issues in terms of like health consequences of the people that live there. And in turn, as they become more sustainable, or they live a better life, their lifestyle's better, you'll have less pollution. They just people need to be incentivized. Like they need to have some sort of, like there's places in the world that have no hope and they just burn tires. They don't give a fuck.
Right.
Like they're not thinking about the environment. They're thinking about how do I get by? How do I stay alive?
Back to your point on making stuff here. I don't know the numbers, but I'm wondering what, if you were to say in 10 years we're requiring 90% of every single thing we use to be made in the USA, right? So you cut out all that air freight and all that freight line, all the shipping.
The shipping is huge.
And everybody wants to talk about providing jobs.
If we take all that shit, what does that do for the carbon footprint? If we're not shipping all those freighters
Yeah,
and
that's
we're
a good
building that
point.
shit here.
I've
Probably was
Googled
a
it. If
huge
you Google
impact.
that, and granted, this is just me like looking at Google, doing Google research, but
Right,
look
it
at what
sounds
look at what a
legit.
container ship uses in fuel consumption. It's fucking insane. It's like the equivalent of like every single vehicle in the United States, like in annually, like just back
I mean,
and forth.
it seems
It's
like
nuts,
a
dude. It's
huge
nuts.
dent you would put in it by us making this shit here and
Yeah.
using it here.
That would be a big dent. That would be massive. I mean, that's obviously a long-term project, unfortunately, when manufacturing really kind of like got out of the United States. When they started shipping and building cars overseas and ruined Detroit. I mean, Detroit just fell apart. That Roger and Me movie, you guys ever see that?
Never seen.
No, never heard of it.
You never heard of it? It's, what the fuck's his name? Jamie. Michael Moore, that guy. It's a great documentary, and it's about Flint, Michigan. It's about right after they closed all the plants down, and everybody just had nothing. They had nothing to do, and just like the city collapsed. And all that happened because they wanted to make shit cheaper.
Yeah.
They wanted to pay people less, and it's more profitable for them to have their manufacturing plants in other countries.
Dude, it's nuts.
That was the one song for Whitey the other day.
Yeah.
Right? You know Whitey Morgan, country song.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
He was on the podcast, and he did a local show and stuff like that. He's from Flint, and
okay.
his dad and granddad worked in the auto, and he has a song, and he was
All
telling
about it.
Yeah, we were talking to him about like Michigan. It came up because we go to shows in Michigan, and Michigan's got a very like southern redneck pocket, right? It's weird because of how north it is, and he talked about all the people from the south moved up there for all
of the
these auto
wages.
jobs and all the wages, right? And it's that area. But he talked about the same thing when they shut it down. I mean, it just killed that specifically Flint. That's where he's from.
It's a horrible story, and they did that because they wanted to make more money. Imagine knowing that you're going to just destroy thousands of people's lives, like instantly.
Nuts.
And
I'm not-
they're like, yeah, I want to make more money.
I'm not trying to put you on blast. I really want to know on a normal
Let's see where this is going.
on a normal.
I like how the kids say that these days. Put you on blast.
Well, on a purchasing decision, when you're going to buy something, how does that weigh on you knowing that it's made in America?
Well, I'd like to buy everything made in America if it was possible. I would like to buy everything made somewhere where people are paid fairly. Right? That's like what should be the normal ethical exchange for everything. If you go to a restaurant, you want to know that everyone's being taken care of and paid fairly. You go to buy a car from you guys. You want to pay you for your work. It's like it's a good exchange. That's what I like to think about. And the thing that bums me out is if you're buying something that is made by people that are essentially like slaves.
Yeah.
I mean, the people working in Fox, what options do they have? Like, what do they do? Is there an option to only work 8 hours a day? No, like, it's probably not. It's probably insane. They're using young people to do it, too. It's all fucking sketchy.
Is there any American-made electronics?
There's
Like
no
phones,
American-made
TVs, or-
phones. No, I don't believe there is. Is there? Is there an American-made cell phone that I'm not aware of?
Well, there will be, but I'm still we've looked this up before.
Yeah,
but
there will be soon.
Other
Dude, that's
electronics is a better question.
That's what we're gonna pivot to. That's gonna be the Freedom Phone, dude. It's gonna be like a fucking walkie-talkie.
It's going to suck.
It's gonna be
Eagle
so fucking
wings.
bad. Yeah.
It's going to be like an 8-year-old Android. It's going to suck.
Cost
It's gonna be this
$10,000.
It's going to burn your car.
Sure, you gotta plug it in, dude. It's
You remember when those Samsung
American
phones were
electricity.
exploding? They're catching fire and
yeah.
lighting people's cars.
You imagine being in the head of PR for that phone call? Hey,
Bro.
we've got a problem.
I remember when they were making people shut them off on planes.
Yeah.
You had to
That's
shut them
scary.
off. Yeah.
Scary.
If you have a Samsung device, shut your phone off. I was like, that is discrimination.
Did you? I've been boarding on a plane, and you see the shame of like the people that don't want to admit. They're like, "Hey, do you have a Samsung phone?" And like, nobody wants to be. Unfortunately, I've been a Samsung guy. I'm an Android guy.
Do you do they still give you a hard time about having? No, they don't blow
I mean,
up anymore.
all your
Everybody
friends
else
do
does.
because on a text chain, it's
Yeah, you fuck it up and make it green.
Yeah.
Why do you want to stick with that platform? It's interesting. Like people are real rebels. They stick with that platform.
yeah. I like the Google integration. Everything Google through everything. But I guess there is a little bit of the rebel fact.
Dude.
I probably would have if I would have
You're a
gotten the
badass.
shit for a while.
Honestly, I never thought you were that badass until you brought that up. That's pretty fucking wicked.
Fuck
dude.
off.
That's some serious rebel shit right there.
Yeah, green text.
Oh yeah, all my fucking texts come through green. Fuck your blue
Yeah.
text message.
The thing is, it
You're
doesn't
gonna
come
get
through
tiny
green on
videos
his
that
phone.
nobody can see.
I don't like having the whole everything like Apple, iPhone, iCloud, all the stuff. Like you have to have so many. Everything's linked together. It's just a fucking phone.
Sure.
And if I do a Gmail, it automatically. It's simple. I'm probably simple-minded. That's why I like it.
No, you just like it. It's okay. There's two choices.
But
the
that-
good one and the Android.
Yeah. Are the videos tiny on your phone when you look at them too?
Yeah, they fucking suck. But my videos are great.
But why is that? That's the dumbest thing. But the thing is, like, Apple's very smart
They're
about
very
that
smart.
with iMessage.
Yeah.
Because if they just allowed people to send text messages with the same, thing with iMessage, where you get full length video, like they're full resolution,
Yeah.
full resolution photographs, but nope, they compress the fuck out of that shit.
Like second-class citizens. I mean,
But if you send one to your friends with another Android phone, does it come out normal?
yeah, it's full. It's full.
You
Blast.
don't know anybody
4K.
else that has an Android.
Yeah, you don't
phone.
even know.
That's
You're just
bullshit.
guessing. Totally guessing. I looked at his face. I'm like, I feel like he's lying.
You can share, like you can go through the Google Share thing, and it's full. But
Seems
you know
awesome.
Google Share.
what?
Yeah, remember when they tried that Google Plus? Google Plus. You don't need other social media. That didn't work. That's what's fascinating about social media. It's like people just find, like, YouTube, for example. Like, you don't have a whole lot of other choices.
No, you don't.
Like, it's
They've tried.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
It doesn't stick.
no, they just nailed it. They figured it out and they dominate. But it's like so simple in a way. It's just a place where you can upload videos, right? But they've done it so much better than everybody else. It's
Yeah.
weird where, like, trying to create a new YouTube, like, ugh, good
Yeah,
luck.
good luck with
Good
that.
luck getting people. They're so addicted to just looking on YouTube every day. There's so much to look at.
What's the Threads deal?
It's like a Twitter. It's like a version of Twitter that Facebook built. It looks exactly like Twitter. I think they're even getting sued because it looks so right. Is Elon suing them? Is that real?
They hired. I think I read they hired a person that worked at Twitter and they copied stuff directly. That's what the lawsuit I think is about.
Well, that's what happens when you fire everybody.
That was an episode.
They go to work for your competitor and they know things.
I think that was in Silicon Valley, that HBO show. It's the same shit.
Here it is. Threads user count falls to new lows, highlighting retention challenges. Oh no! How many people are on it now?
Oh, this was even 2 weeks ago.
They're down 82%. Whoa.
That's pretty typical for a new app, though. It's hard to retain people.
Yeah, the thing is, like, people are so addicted to, like, their TikTok. They go from their TikTok to their Twitter. It's very difficult to get people to change platforms.
Yeah, I
You got to get everybody to change. too.
I've stayed off the TikTok deal. I
Me
just
too.
think it's too. Maybe it's a little too youthful for me.
Yeah, dude, your dancing is fucking killer, though.
I don't watch those videos. I just
Okay.
post them.
It's very addictive. I'll tell you that. I watch people just scrolling through their TikTok all day long. It's
Yeah.
so addictive. You just get constant stimulation, something, anything, dancing, motorcycle crash, this, that,
My daughter, and she's in college, and she's
what's
in the
that.
sorority stuff, and that's where they live. I mean, everything is TikTok based. It's all about TikTok.
And China's tracking everything they do.
Yeah.
Everything.
What do you think?
All
they're-
your
what-
keystrokes.
What are they doing with that?
Who knows?
I mean, that constantly comes up like it's a concern. But what are they doing with
Well,
it?
here's the thing. As technology becomes more and more powerful, what you can do with data changes. And if you have a massive amount of data about people's behavior, their patterns, what they're interested in, what they gravitate towards, what retains them, what doesn't retain them, and then all the stuff you're not supposed to have, like their email addresses, their fucking passwords, like their keystrokes. It can actually monitor the keystrokes that you have, so it could be sending that data. So it could be transcribing text messages, emails, like whatever you've got, not just on that, but also on other devices that are connected to the network. So if you have a network and you have devices that are connected to the network, and that
It's linked and all that.
yeah, like I believe it has access to computers that aren't even, like, don't even have TikTok on them.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's part of the user agreement. Yeah, didn't we read all this? See, pull it up because it's egregious.
Where do
when
they-
you read it, you're like, what? It's so invasive.
Where do they store all the dick pics? Imagine the servers.
Yeah, there's like a certain
I
cloud.
wonder if they categorize.
Dick heavy cloud. It's just one of them big storm clouds filled with dicks.
This is what their terms of service, right?
Yeah. So what I wanted to read is the one part that I know we read it on the podcast once.
Yeah,
See
I
if-
don't know where you read it from. 'Cause you're
Yeah,
reading
see
off
if
your
you can get
phone.
us. Yeah, I did read it off my phone. Here, I'll pull it up. Hold on. I know I got it in my notes. But it's, it's like data is very, very valuable. Data is all that Facebook has. It's all that Google has. I mean, they have infrastructure and, staff and all that stuff. But, like, the big money is in the data. And no one even knew that that was a commodity. Everybody just gave up their data, not ever thinking it was going to be insanely valuable for targeting people, for advertisers.
Is that the biggest concern? Is what they can do from a financial standpoint versus like a malicious attack with that data?
I mean, the real thing is like we don't know what it like. I read something about DNA, like one of those ancestry things where they got bought out, and someone paid for all the DNA data.
That's an interesting one.
That's a little fucked up.
Yeah.
See if that's real, because it might have been one of them things where I was like scrolling through Instagram and it was like some wacky person screaming about something. You always got to double check these. See if that's real.
I'm looking.
But I don't know what I mean. As technology increases, you have to think in terms of possibilities. Like maybe that data is going to be even more valuable and more personal. Like we don't know like what we're giving up. Blackstone to acquire Ancestry for $4.7 billion. Okay, but do they have access to the DNA database of all the people that sent into Ancestry? Right? What do they have? Do they have access? Did they buy the company or did they acquire the database as well?
Man,
You know what I'm saying?
For 4.7 billion, I'd certainly think that they got all the
Get it all.
assets and
But is
data.
that's the thing. Do they think of other people's personal DNA as an asset? Is it listed as an asset? Or is it just the business that does DNA testing that they bought? Because it's a very popular business.
If I'm writing
People
that
love
check,
doing
I'm
that
gonna
shit.
want all that.
Right, but I mean, I'm wondering
Yeah.
if you can sell that. Like when people give up, when they send it in, right, when they get their DNA test done, are you giving up your rights to that information?
Wonder if you sign any waiver when you scroll all the way bottom and terms and conditions. You're just like, yeah, fuck it.
You're not reading the 48
Yeah.
pages.
Yeah, they're
Well,
like, hey, we're gonna sell one day. All that shit goes with it.
That's the scariest conversation about bioweapons. That they could make a bioweapon specifically targeted for you
Wow.
if they knew your DNA.
That's you talk about like the TikTok and China having all that shit. You have something like a January 6th that happens, right? And all the red tape to get all of the geo data from Facebook and everybody else is like, fuck you, we're not giving you shit. You think they can get anything? There's any backdoor deals like, hey, we need U.S. government working with China to get any of that shit to if something were to happen like that? They have that kind of relationship to get it in backdoor channels of
Like the U.S. would get the
Yeah.
information from China?
yeah.
I don't know if China would have. They would have to admit they're taking it. And I think there's been like real dispute as to like with TikTok in particular, like where the data goes.
Damn it, I can't get this pop up to stop. But
What is it saying?
China is the world's biggest face recognition dealer, and then it says in the subheadline that the U.S. is the second largest exporter.
Exporter.
And there's a video I'm trying to find of this, what's happening. It said the video was made as though this is what's happening in China right now, showing the surveillance. It's taking facial recognition and showing you driving down the freeway in cars and tagging the license plates and all that stuff. And like even how or why that's happening is a big question.
Well, they just want people to know that they're being tracked everywhere you go. Then you'll self-censor. Then you'll stay in line. You won't do anything. And in China, what's really scary is the places that have everything connected to a social credit score. So you have a centralized digital currency, and then you have a social credit score. And if your social credit score is too low, you can't do things, can't buy things, can't buy a car.
How does your social credit score go down?
You got to be a good boy.
Your Google search history.
Yeah,
Oh.
whatever it is.
Fuck that.
It's literally like your tweets. You like what you don't. What do you do wrong? What do you do right? Did you pay your taxes on time? Like it's sketchy stuff, man. Because you're not going to be a human anymore. You're going to be a human that's deeply influenced by the fact that you know you're constantly under surveillance, and that gives into tyranny. And people have control over your life that way. And the people that have access to the switch to decide whether or not you get money, whether or not you can fucking buy a plane ticket, whether or not you could buy certain groceries. Like,
They just shut you off.
yeah.
I wonder if you're of means, can you buy credits for that
If you could
social
buy it
credit
back?
score? Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I'm sure that somebody's monetized.
Make
off
a $1 million donation and get another 50 points on your social credit score.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's a bribe to be able to buy a plane ticket. Yeah, that's our future if we don't wise up. And so many people that just want the government to have that kind of control because they think it'll silence the people that they oppose. They don't realize it's going to come for you too. Like there's a real strong reason why the founding fathers set this place up the way they did, because they knew that people getting control of things, they have too much power, and then so they made it like real complicated with multiple layers of justice. And that's just to stave off this fucking normal desire that people have to absolutely control the people that are under them. That's why kings existed. That's why monarchs, and that's why emperors. That's what they've always done that forever. And it's just a natural human instinct for one person to want to control everything, or one group to control everything, and have everybody be their subjects.
I'm glad we can just focus on building fucking cars.
Dude, that's what I'm
know.
talking about. I'm gonna just keep kicking it old school. You know, we're fucking manufacturing things out of steel in America.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about any of this because I'm not an important enough person that anybody's gonna utilize any of that stuff against me. I'm just gonna.
It is weird that
doing
we're
my
a country
thing.
that requires so much of our stuff to be brought in.
Yeah, dude, on our end, like you saw it like such a negative change when you started bringing in like steel from India, steel from China.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd get some stuff that was just crap, right? You'd be like, we're manufacturing stuff, and you're making a control arm for a car, and you get a load of steel, and you look at this stuff, and we just reject it. I mean, you're only using USA steel because the shit would just tear, rip, break. It's just-
Really?
it's junk. Yeah.
Couldn't bend it. It would
Fucking
snap
junk.
and crack.
I never even thought of that before.
Yeah.
So there's different standards in how people
Oh, yeah.
manufacture steel.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Oh, steel.
Someone
Air
said
quotes
that.
is a
Recycled
broad
pop
term.
cans and
Yeah.
everything else.
Someone
thrown in
said
one.
that to me about the Twin Towers. This friend of mine from New York, he goes, you know what nobody talks about when they talk about the Twin Towers? I go, what? He goes, construction methods. He's like, who fucking knows if they use the right steel? Who knows where they got that
Yeah.
shit from? Who knows if it's supposed to be 2 inches thick and they made it 1.5 inches? Like cutting corners in construction and finagling shit, and if they got their steel from a questionable source.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's all American steel. Maybe I'm wrong. But his take on it was like, bro, like this is like people like the towers aren't supposed to fall that way. Like they're not supposed to be built that way either. Probably. That was his take on it, not mine. His take on it, and I was like, huh. I never thought of that before, because I know that there are certain I'm not saying this construction company, certain construction companies that do a fucking terrible job. And people find out about it way too late, and then there's buildings that are just massive buildings that they have to fucking demolish
Yeah.
because they were just built wrong.
Also, don't know how good no matter how good of an engineer you are, if you could have planned for 2 fucking planes to fly into.
Exactly.
Like,
and then the fires and the heat that comes along with that.
I don't know if there's a simulation you could run on your.
FEA analysis on
Yeah.
that.
Dude, was that how old were you when that happened?
That was.
I was 21.
I was 19.
No, you weren't. It
Yeah.
was 2001.
I had to be 19.
That was one of those moments
Oh, yeah.
where
Yeah.
I think no one. There's like a few moments in your life where you're like, I remember exactly where I was when I heard that. I remember exactly where I was standing when I was watching the television.
Yep.
When
I
you
got a
just
call.
over and over and over again
Yeah.
on CNN. Boom, boom.
I remember my mom talking about it like it was when she remembers as a kid when Kennedy got assassinated. The same thing. It was like that same kind of
Yeah.
focused around the TV, whatever. Yeah, I remember I was headed to work and got that phone call like, holy shit.
You know what's wild though? Like those weeks after 9/11, people were so nice. It was so different.
Remember all the sporting events?
Yeah.
And it was just like,
Just the pride in the country.
you'd walking down the road just like high-fiving folks. Like, yes.
I went to see the UFC in Vegas right after September 11th. And this is before I was working for the UFC. And I was in the audience, and Tito Ortiz was fighting, and he came out with an American flag. And the
Fucking went wild.
the whole place went ballistic. It was just...
Yeah.
And I was with my friend Eddie, and we're like, whoa, this is wild. Like, it just felt so different. It felt so different. It's like America felt united.
It really
You
did.
drive down the street, everybody had an American flag on their car. They had those little American flag things that stick to your window.
It happens that way. It happens that way in your family. It happens that way in business. It happens that way in any relationship. You've got to have, unfortunately, that bad fucking thing
To remind you of the good.
to remind you of the good. And everybody comes together, and it's like, all right, we can fight amongst each other about all kinds of fucking things.
Yeah.
But when something bad like that happens, you realize
It's
what
so
really matters.
easy for people to lose perspective. And that's why, like, the better things get, the more people complain. It's like, it's so easy for people to lose perspective and not just appreciate things. It's hard. Human beings we always want more, you know, and we never really.
Right.
And then when something goes away, like I said about when you get sick, you realize, like, oh,
Yeah, once you lose it.
this is what's important. What's important is being healthy. That's more important than anything. If you were a rich person and someone said, okay, but you have to stay sick, like you have a cold, a bad cold for the rest of your life, but you get to stay rich, or you could just be poor again. You have to take being poor. You can't be, you'd have to be so fucking stupid. You're like, look at all my money.
Just to walk around rich with the
Yeah.
sniffles.
Why do you
Walk
think,
around rich and just
With the
tired all the
sniffles,
time, coughing everywhere you go, can't go upstairs.
Why didn't the country come together during COVID like they did after 9/11?
Well, because the country was divided. Everybody was literally divided. Everyone was isolated. That's a very weird, like, psychological experiment to run on people. I'm not saying they did it on purpose, but if you wanted to do a psychological experiment on people, the best way to do it is to isolate them. Keep them from working, isolate them. You got people already that are filled with anxiety, and then all of a sudden this comes along. For a lot of people, like, it was psychological overload.
Yeah.
And they were offered up one solution. This is this one solution that's going to get us out of this. You got to get vaccinated. And they were telling everyone has to do it. You got to do it. I'm doing it. We're all doing it. And no one really knew what the long-term effects were. No one really knew how effective it was. No one really took into account that these pharmaceutical drug companies have always done shady shit. They have the most criminal fines. They're always getting busted. 25% of their drugs get pulled after they get approved. It's just a wild ass business. And if you ever watch, like, Dope Sick, or if you read anything about the Sackler family and the opioids, like, these people, like, they make great drugs with great reason. They do wonderful things for people's health. There's a lot of great drugs that really help people. And then there's a machine that just wants to make money. And that machine is in cahoots with the media, and that machine was in cahoots with all the people that were promoting it, and the health agencies, and every doctor had to fall in line. And if they didn't, if they tried to prescribe other things, they risked losing their job. And so that's why people didn't get brought together, because they were fucking terrified, and all the conditions were there to make people more divided and more scared. And some people still haven't recovered. I still see people with masks on to this day, outside, walking around with masks on.
Or driving in a car by themselves usually.
All the time. Yeah, just people that were already probably, like, very anxious and very fucked up.
I like the guy you saw, 3 or 4 months ago. It's a stretched Hayabusa motorcycle, right? Big ass wheel on the back. Guy's got no helmet, but he's got a COVID mask on. Like,
Guarantee you, buddy, it's not the COVID that's going to kill you.
Well, maybe he just want bugs in his mouth. I'll respect him if he takes it off. Because I would imagine if you don't even have a helmet on, like, you're going to get some bugs in your face.
Yeah, but it was just like the standard paper shitty mask.
It's like it's like a cat when they hide under a table, but you still see their tail. It's like, I see you. It's like, that doesn't work. Like it's like you're playing a stupid trick.
Yeah, but a lot of it, I think, is gotten to be where it's sending a message.
Yeah.
They want everybody to know.
100%.
Oh yeah, they're doing the right thing. I still wear a mask. I see people on Twitter, like someone will declare, I still mask up everywhere I go. I double mask in public, and everyone, and then underneath it, people are like, yeah, me too. I do too. I was just like shut-ins and insane people that don't want to let it go, and they'll probably mask up 3, 4, 5 years from now too. Okay, go ahead, but that's what it is. It's like it cracked some people. And those circumstances that it happened under, where people were divided because they were literally isolated at home, that just causes so much anxiety. And then you can't work.
Oh, yeah.
And then the bills are piling up. You don't know if you're going to lose your house, and your business is shut down. You're like,
Yeah, we got shut down, dude. We got shut down for like, how long? Almost
6 weeks, 7
Yeah.
weeks.
fucking
California was a long
Chicago.
That was actually the start of the CUDA.
That was. Yeah.
Yeah,
We were shut down for 6 weeks, and him and John came in and cut the floor out of your car, built the chassis, built the floors.
Yeah, I watched the Autotopia LA video that you guys did. It was great.
Yeah, dude, Sean does a kick-ass job on those, man. That's
Yeah, we were
great
talking
dude.
about him last night. Like, that guy so obviously loves cars. Like,
Yeah.
it's infectious.
It is.
You can't fake that.
Yep.
And that's why his channel's popular.
Yeah.
It's like
Yes.
you can't fake genuine appreciation.
Yeah, I appreciate it. He's just like a likable dude.
Yeah.
You like watching the stuff, and yeah,
He does a good job of the videos too. He just lets the cars speak for themselves. He asks the right questions. He's
does.
fucking good.
Yeah, and when he drives them, you can clearly see that he's having a great fucking time.
Yeah, we had some. Dude, that little video he did on the CUDA was cool because that was actually. We had some legitimate pissed off fucking neighbor. That was really
Yeah.
cool. That made for a great video.
That dude
I was in the
pissed.
car. I didn't
Screaming
get
and
to-
yelling.
I
That dude
was
was
not
fucking pissed.
happy.
What was he mad about?
We're on some where our shop's at, like just past the shop. It's like almost like the country, right? You kind of get
Right.
out on these country roads, and this dude just got so pissed because they were standing on the side of the road filming, but it was his property, and he was mumbling something about I'm gonna get my gun or
Well, the
put my
one-
gun away or like, dude, shut the fuck up. It's a public damn road. I mean,
They
we
had
weren't-
stopped and talked to the guy, and the guy
neighbor.
said, the neighbor, he said, you can park right there in that pull around. So they parked in that pull around because the neighbor gave him permission. Apparently, the neighbor that actually owned the property says that's not the neighbor's driveway to say it's okay. And he just, instead of being like, hey, dude, like, what's going on? He just had to flip
Right.
the fuck
Came out hot.
Yeah.
I bet the two neighbors are just fucking with each other. It's been an ongoing
Probably.
feud. So he's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get him. Go park over
In
in
his
yard.
defense, though, imagine if you're just trying to enjoy a calm, peaceful day at home, and you hear, you're doing these fucking
Pretty accurate.
lead foot takes down that road.
It was only, what, 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, it was 2 or 3. But
They're loud.
who the fuck wouldn't like that? I mean,
That
come on.
guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, that was the one guy.
He-
We know
yeah.
there's at least one.
Yeah, he's at home watching old Bonanza episodes.
Wearing his mask.
Yeah, some people are weird, man. They don't like loud noises. I get it though. If you're in a country quiet setting, it's a loud ass car.
Yeah, it is.
Do you like seeing that? You like seeing the videos of that car before you get to see it in person? Or would you rather have it like a surprise?
No, I don't mind it at all. It's great to see the videos. That makes it. I'm more excited to see it when I get it. But no, the videos are awesome. And the one that Sean did was great. Sean did one on my '69 Nova too. The one
Yeah,
that Steve
yeah.
Strope built me.
Yep.
That one's awesome too. Yeah, he's great. Does awesome shit. I'm just so glad that that's one of those things that came out of social media that's interesting. Is like an individual content creator that is just like probably wouldn't get a job doing that on a television show.
No.
But his show's super successful just because it's genuine, just because he really loves cars and he's a real likable guy and he's doing this thing. And it's like he doesn't look like your classic guy that is hosting a car show with coiffed hair on the Discovery Channel. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, not a cheesy.
Right, exactly.
strip club
Some
announcer
actor
voice.
who's talking to you about a '69 Camaro. It's like he's not that. He's just a
he's
regular human being.
It's relatable.
You've
Yeah.
done a lot of shit with TV. Why do you think that TV executives don't realize, for especially car-related shit, to get somebody that's legit? And
Well, because they want to control everything, right? So they want to decide what you say. They want to tell you where to stand. They want to set the scene. They have like all these things in their mind that they want the show to be in order for it to be successful. In their defense, they think they have a model in their mind of what a successful show looks like. But the problem also is they don't have a lot of time to make something successful. So if you're doing something like Autotopia, like what do you need? You need a few cameras. Like you don't need a lot, and you just upload it. It's not that much, right? If you're doing a television show, you have union wages, you have trucks, you have grips, you have all these fucking people that are moving things around and carrying things and lighting, and then you have the executives, you have the people that are at the studio, you've got 30, 40, 50 people that are involved in every project and millions of dollars in the budget. So if it's not successful right away, it's going to lose money.
Yep.
And then they just bail on it. So you have like a few episodes to catch fire, and if it doesn't work, you're gone. And then the new one comes in. And then they invest a sizable amount of money putting together some new thing. And by doing that, sometimes you make good shows when you got a bunch of great people with a good vision. But a lot of times you get too many things that don't work with each other that well. And whoever the person is that you wanted to host the show never really gets to be themselves. So they never really get to, like, people don't connect with them. They don't feel it. It's just fake. And it doesn't feel that good. So you don't like it. So nobody watches it. Whereas you can do a show like, look at Jay Leno's Garage. It's a perfect example. Jay Leno was the host of The Tonight Show. It's like, yeah, he did a great job. But it was not that thrilling. It was just The Tonight Show. It was just this thing. It was mediocre, mildly entertaining. But when you see Jay Leno hosting Jay Leno's Garage, he's great at it.
Yeah.
He fucking loves cars. He's so in his element. It's so normal and natural. That guy loves cars. When he's talking about whatever it is, when he's driving around the car asking questions, that guy fucking loves it. And so the people that like weren't into Jay Leno from the Tonight Show days because it was clean family corporate television, they love him now. They're like, oh, he's a car guy.
Yeah, you get the uncensored Jay Leno.
The real Jay
that's
Leno.
him.
That's the real Jay Leno. And that's what you get with like YouTube and things like that now. And what you guys are doing on your podcast too. It's the same kind. You're just being yourself.
Yeah.
And talking about cool shit.
Yeah, just talking about cars and whiskey and other
Dumb shit.
dumb shit.
Yeah.
Guy shit.
Right.
But people love like tuning into stuff like that. They love like knowing there's only a few people working on this. This is not like some massive project that involves corporations, and this is coming straight from a bunch of people. Yeah, and that's the thing that they can't duplicate. That's why like news shows like CNN, they just feel so fake. Everything feels fake. Everyone's talking fake, and it's a cut to commercial in every 5 minutes. It's like, what is this? It's like a shitty format.
You think they realize that? And if so, what's their pivot?
They're trapped.
It's working.
They're trapped.
Yeah.
They're making money, but their viewership is as low as it's ever been. It's really low, like way down from the Trump era.
Well, ads have to be down too. I mean, aren't being major corporations can't get a bigger ROI from going to more YouTube channels or podcasts or anything like that?
Yeah, but there's also this interesting relationship between advertisement and influence. Like if a primary source of your ad revenue is a certain company, perhaps you won't report about things that company does that are bad.
As long as they keep
think,
advertising.
You think that really happens?
I think it could happen. And I think that's
Hypothetical.
part of the relationship they have. It's not as simple as like this is the most profitable place to advertise. It's also this is a place that if we advertise, we continue this relationship. And this relationship clearly is in some way influenced by the money that it gets from these corporations. It's not going to openly criticize these corporations that are funding a giant chunk of their ad revenue. So they're fucked.
Yeah.
So they're fucked. And it's always going to be better to get your news source from someone who's like an actual journalist who's independent. You can get that now. And that's what people are realizing. That's why cable's like sort of slowly slipping away.
When does Netflix have news?
That's interesting. When do they? It's not a bad idea, right? Have like regular people read the news?
Like just like
Read
Yeah.
the actual events,
as
not their
legit
spin on
as
it.
could be.
Yeah.
The thing about the news is like you want to know all the news. So if they just told you one story like one story about the wildfires in Maui. Really, they should be talking about that all day. It should be like hours and hours and hours. It can't really be 5 minutes.
Right.
You know, it can't really be like more than 90 people are dead, 1,000 are missing. Back to you, Bob. Today, the Clippers scored 100. You can't do that.
Clippers didn't score 100.
Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just like they don't have the time to give you new, and you don't want it either, because you just, like, people are spoon fed. They want to know, okay, what's going on in Ukraine? Okay, how's the economy? Okay,
Right.
His Bud Light still suck? Okay, like is
Give
it
me
okay
bullet
to watch
points
the
then.
Barbie movie? Yeah.
You just checked all the boxes.
Yeah, that is
there.
all the highlights.
So they can't really go into depth about things, and they can't talk about certain things. It's not like they can just tell you what they really feel about what's going on. They can't start talking about the military-industrial complex and its influence on politicians. They're not going to tell you all these stories.
No.
It's like very controlled, and people realize that now. They're not interested in it anymore.
Man, so where do you think, like, where the hell do people go to get that accurate news? At some point.
Podcast.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really
independent journalists who've made podcasts. Guys like Matt Taibbi, guys like Crystal and Sagar on Breaking Points, people that are independent and reliable and honest, and they can give you the information as they see it.
The last two are the hardest ones to put your finger on, because there's so many like fake people who are pushing one agenda, and you don't know what the side of the story is, and they spin it to whatever direction they want it to go.
Yeah, just pure propaganda. And they're allowed to do that now, which is just like one of the things that's really bizarre that came out during Elon buying Twitter is finding out how much of the FBI had involvement in censoring tweets.
Yes.
And censoring tweets that turned out to be accurate. Censoring tweets about the Hunter Biden laptop, censoring tweets about COVID and vaccine data. And it's just like the FBI was involved in people's tweets? Like how? What? And Facebook too? It's like, whew.
Dude, I mean, honestly, if you're not listening, like regularly listening to some prominent podcasts, you're not getting any sort of like factual information. I mean, for a guy like me, I'm a hot rod builder, dude. I'm a businessman. I'm not like, politics aren't really my fucking thing. But like listening to like you, Jordan Peterson, RFK Jr., I'd have never fucking known about that dude, right? And I think he's a pretty fucking cool dude. And listen to
very interesting guy,
unfucking believable
guy.
I mean, incredibly interesting, and that's something you would never hear about. Like that's not going to come up on mainstream news and like motivate a guy like me to be more interested in that guy.
Well,
right?
no one's going to ever let him just talk like that. He told me that at over 18 years, no one just let him talk like that. Just let him not interrupt him, not stop him, not try to change the subject. To say, just go ahead, tell me everything that you think.
Your podcast with Jordan Peterson, I think you said like 4 words the entire time, and he just ran.
Well, Jordan's perfect for that, too. I mean, he's also in tune right now because he does all these lectures. So Jordan does these, like, huge, like, stadiums, these giant fucking places, and he's just essentially ranting for, like, an hour and a half. And he has prepared bullet points and things he wants to talk about, but he kind of lets the flow go when he gets up there. But he can do that about anything and everything. He's ridiculously smart, like confusingly smart.
Sharp guy.
But the amount of reading that guy's done, like the things that he can recall at the tips of his finger, like instantaneously, it's pretty stunning.
I'm still thinking about the Facebook shit. Sorry,
You're
talking about the Facebook and the FBI. So I've just got this. I've got this picture in my head, like at the Facebook headquarters. You've got the dude that's on the phone with the FBI, right? And he's like, "All right, yeah, we're going to suppress those tweets. We're going to do that." And like he's sharing a cubicle, and this other dude, like Mitch, is bitching about like Facebook Marketplace, and Deb is, in Nevada bitching about like her post for her vases get taken down. Like it's such a huge business.
Probably different levels there.
You think it's different floors? It's just not sharing the same.
They prioritize. It's a big
But you
building.
think about like the things that Facebook's dealing with on a daily basis just to run their stuff, and then dealing with the, I can't believe you deleted my post.
Well, there's also weird things they do. Like I read this thing today, Jamie. Well, I only read the headline. I didn't read the article. I was going to bring it up today. They said that at one point in time, Facebook was contacted by the FBI about one of Tucker Carlson's videos, and that they reduced the views of it, or reduce the reach of it by 50%. Google that. See what the fuck that's all about.
What if it ever came out on Tucker? What was the real reason they fucking shit canned him?
I don't think you'll ever know.
I don't think he said. I don't think he can. He's probably in the middle of a lawsuit. Probably can't talk about it. But it's pretty wild. You got literally the only successful guy on cable news, the only one that has a loyal fan base, and the only one who says wild shit. He was talking like he was on a podcast.
Yeah.
But he was doing it on Fox.
Yeah.
Like some of the things he said, like the CIA killed Kennedy, and everybody's like, "What the fuck? Is this
guy just saying?"
This guy on Fox? He just said the CIA killed Kennedy?
I was just looking at your Kennedy framed deal on all the
Oh
memorabilia and
yeah.
stuff. That's
Patrick Bet David gave me that.
nuts.
It's pretty cool. Do we find it? That story?
I don't know. I mean,
Is it horseshit?
I'm not saying either way. I just that's not a. I don't know where you saw it, so I have to find.
So I would
that
just want you to
article, though.
Google
I did.
Facebook
Doesn't-
reduced
nothing comes up
Tucker
that way.
Carlson's video reach by 50%.
Not a single thing came up that way. It was other articles about different stuff with Tucker's name and Facebook and Fox News and predictions and this and that. Does nothing about.
They
Following
reduced
the
the
reach
search
on the
history.
screen.
on
I
it,
should have
too.
saved it. God damn it. That's always one of those ones when I'm like, you'll be able to find this. There's just too many fucking stories out there now.
Is your screenshots on your phone just like ridiculous?
Oh, yeah.
Of
Yeah.
and then you try to go back and be like, what? There's got to
Yeah.
be something in that I
Right.
screenshot. What was the
Exactly.
reason?
Exactly. Like, what is that?
All right, I think
It
I
just
found
looks like
You
a
found
cat.
it?
I think
It says
so.
hang in
Okay.
there.
What does it say,
I
Jeremy?
don't know. It's I
me
got
see
a
it.
Biden administration pressed Facebook about censoring Tucker Carlson post. Federal lawsuit alleges
Yeah, that's it.
from July.
Yeah. So, despite Facebook staff assessing that the video did not qualify for removal from the site, so Facebook complied with requests from members of President Joe Biden's White House staff to throttle the reach of a 2021 video by then Fox News host Tucker Carlson, according to the federal lawsuit. And it says, despite Facebook staff assessing that the video did not qualify for removal. So under the request by the federal government, they decided to throttle a video that they could remove because it didn't qualify for being removed. So that means it didn't violate anything. Now, what was this video about?
That's what I'm trying to find out what it says or what it was talking about.
That's so crazy.
Deputy Assistant Rob
I'm sure
Flaherty
they've got
emailed
our best
Henning.
interests at heart.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going down a path where our
Okay.
videos will be throttled
Here it
moving
is.
forward.
Mr. Carlson, okay. Strategy, Deputy Assistant to the President and Director of Digital Strategy, Rob Flaherty, emailed Facebook executives demanding the suppression of a video segment by Mr. Carlson in which he questioned their safety and asserted that people who had taken the COVID-19 vaccines had sustained injuries and died. Mr. Flaherty also flagged a video by another Fox News host, Tommy Lauren, who said she wouldn't take a vaccine. That's wild. Well, that's true, though. People did sustain injuries, and some people did die from it. That's true. And they got Facebook to throttle that, even though it's true. That's wild.
And we paid for that staff of all those people to watch those videos and flag them and let Facebook know, too.
Hold on. Stop. Listen to this. Then White House senior COVID-19 advisor Andy Slavitt also messaged Facebook executive Nick Clegg about Mr. Carlson's video. According to the judge's Tuesday ruling, Mr. Slavitt expressed his displeasure that Facebook did not remove the video and said, "Not for nothing, but the last time we did this dance, it ended in an insurrection."
Oh.
Mr. Clegg, in turn, noted that the video did not qualify for removal. Holy shit.
That's some heavy stuff.
Despite the video not qualifying for removal, Facebook officials said Mr. Carlson's video was being demoted to reduce its reach. In an April 16, 2021 follow-up, Facebook officials told Mr. Flaherty that the platform gave Mr. Carlson's video a 50% demotion for 7 days and stated that it would continue to demote the video despite it not violating the platform's policies. That's wild. That's just pure censorship. That's information that turns out to be true that you don't like. You don't want people knowing about it. And so you contacted a social media company and said the last time we did this dance, it ended in insurrection. This is wild stuff, man.
Crazy.
These fucking nuts. It's just nuts, man.
I'm sure they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Have our
they're
best interest in
leading
heart.
us to hell. Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange that people who appreciate the First Amendment and the importance of it, if you're an American, it's like one of the most important things that we have that other countries don't have. It's our ability to express ourselves. Freedom of speech. It's fucking everything. People don't think it's everything. It's everything. It's the only way you find out what's true. When people can't talk, then someone can say something that is inaccurate or it's propaganda, and you have no one that can say any different.
You got to take the Second Amendment along with it, though, if you take the first. If you take just the first, people are going to be super fucking pissed off, and they've got weapons.
Right, exactly. Well, they're trying to take the second one, too. There's a lot of that going on. Yeah. It's weird times, fellas.
Dude, crazy times. Crazy.
Yeah. But pretty fun. Pretty fun times, too, because it's so wacky. Like, every day, there's something new. A bunch of people getting fucking killed in a submarine. You know, it's like every day there's something, some new craziness to pay attention to.
Oh, that joke last night. I'm not going to give the
Oh, Tony's?
Oh, dude.
Tony's an animal.
He's a fucking savage.
So fun. Yeah, I'm super lucky I get to work with that guy all the time.
Holy
If you
shit.
never,
He's-
if next time you guys
he's
come
a
back
riot.
into town, I got to take you to Kill Tony. Kill Tony's literally the best comedy experience you could ever have. It's a show that he does live from the mothership every Monday, and it's a panel of like Brian Redband and Tony, who are the hosts of the show, and then professional comedians. And like last time we did it, it was me, my friend Kurt Metzger, and Post Malone. Like we were the guests, and it was so fun. It was just fucking ridiculously fun. And the show is amateurs and people just starting out get 1 minute. And they go up and do 1 minute, and then they get roasted by the panel, and there's an amazing band. It's the most fun show ever.
Oh, shit, we'll have to do
and
that.
And Tony hosts that. That's like his.
Love to
That's
check
his,
that
and he's
out.
been doing it for like 13 years. Yeah, he's been. How long has he been hosting? 10 because we just did the anniversary. Yeah, 10 years.
Fuck.
Yeah, he's funny, dude.
And he's doing an anniversary. Well, he did an anniversary show, a 10-year anniversary show that we did at the this big theater in town, and then they're doing a New Year's show at a fucking arena. So they're doing an HEB arena for Kill Tony for New Year's.
Damn.
Oh, congrats to him.
Bananas.
That's awesome.
Bananas.
Filling arenas. That's got to be a hell of a feeling.
Yeah, for this
Or some
crazy
anxiety
show
leading up to it.
Yeah.
that they started in this tiny room in the Comedy Store. It's this place called the Belly Room. It only seats like 70 people.
Fuck.
That's where they started this show, like 10 years
Nuts.
ago. Nuts.
Fucking nuts.
It's wild, right? I mean, bringing it back to you guys, like when you first started Roadster Shop and now being one of the premier builders in the world of those kind of cars. I mean, how long have you guys been around for?
Dude, we've been doing this now 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Time fucking flies.
So when you first started out in like the 2003 market for
Yeah.
like what was available in terms of like custom suspensions and things along those lines?
Dude, 2003, I mean, it was a different world.
Yeah.
What people were interested in was wildly different. So you had a different, different demographic. Guys were into like 30s hot rods.
Really?
When you looked at like aftermarket custom cars, they were like a 1932 Ford, a Deuce Roadster, something like that, 5-window coupe. That's what was the popular aftermarket. The muscle car stuff hadn't really been modified yet. So there was like aftermarket suspension for those. We were manufacturing chassis for 30s and 40s street rods, we called them.
Oh, interesting.
And it wasn't until like, I don't know, probably like 2008, 2007. you think?
2007.
What do you
we did
think
the
caused
Chanel.
this shift? Do you think it was shows like overhauling and rides?
Honestly, I don't know. When the recession hit, our entire shop was all 1930s hot rods. When we weathered the storm and got through the recession, there wasn't a single one of those left, and it was all muscle cars. And it was it was like a fucking light switch, you know. I don't know what the deal was. If it was just a changing of the guards.
Yeah, we
What
always
do
say
you
it's
think?
like a little bit generational of what was cool when you were in high school or what your parents had. And then there's always like Josh put it best, like a pendulum of this is cool, we're going to do the complete opposite, and it swings the other direction, and you're just constantly going back and forth. High-end show cars to patina drivers, from pro touring muscle cars into lifted off-road four-wheel drive stuff. It's just always moving.
Everybody wants to do something different. You know, it's the counterculture part of it. As soon as something, I had even heard, I think y'all were talking about it on Post Malone's podcast, everybody's into something until you find out like everybody else is into it.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, I got to do something fucking different.
Yeah, but if everybody got into muscle cars, I wouldn't stop.
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think they have because there's so many different there's so many
Yeah.
different muscle cars and there's so many different styles and ways to build them.
I feel that way about the UFC too. Like when I first started working for the UFC, when I started working for them in '97, I did it from '97 to '98, and then I did it again. I started working again for them in 2001. But I was back when nobody knew what the fuck it was. I was doing these shows in '97 in Dothan, Alabama. We were flying in a propeller plane, and people were fighting with shoes on.
Yeah,
And
buddy.
they're bare knuckle and headbutts were
Tide.
legal. Like it was crazy. They were the crazy times. I'm happy that more people are. I'm not like, yeah, I knew when it was cool. Like that to me is so dumb. Like if you like a band and all of a sudden the band makes it, like yeah, they fucking sold out.
Yeah.
I don't like them now. Everybody likes them.
But the UFC's changed too, right? All different fighting styles and different weight classes
gotten
and what's
better.
kind of cool. And
Yeah, it's just gotten better. It's just constantly gotten better. The people today are just the best ever. It's just it's insane, like the level of talent, and it's such a pressure cooker because in every division, like in this weekend, you have Aljamain Sterling's fighting Sugar Sean O'Malley, so you have the best of the best, like the most exciting contender versus the most dominant champion, and it's just woo when that happens, like this pressure cooker in that division because you've got guys like Corey Sandhagen and Marlon Vera. You got so many killers in this division, and everybody's just striving to be the champion, and they're around so much talent that everybody has to get better. So it's like the level of competition is so strong in every weight class that it's just this insane like diamond machine. Like the pressure makes these insane diamonds of talent, and that's just off the charts right now.
That's what we've seen in ours, especially over the last 10 years. Our industry is, you know, the other shops coming up and wanting better and better and better, which is why we've had to continue getting better on all the chassis and the different innovations that we've come out with. But it's the trickle down. I mean, you talk about the UFC getting mainstream, getting so much bigger. So then you've got the apparel brands, and then you've got, you know, the fight gear, and then you got stuff in the gloves. Everybody's got to get better at their shit. You actually can make a business to support that. The same thing in our industry where we can build the chassis at the volume that we can because of the way the industry has gone.
Well, the market's there. So you
Yeah.
can put the time, you can put the effort into it, you can put the engineering and spend the money to develop something that's really fucking badass.
It's also great what you guys do for the hobbyist, for someone who wants to build their own car. Like you provide them the actual suspension. Like if someone knows how to do all that and they have the time and the garage space, you know, they can actually use the same components that you guys do and do it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's a big portion of our business. I mean, a lot of guys, man, I can't tell you how many like home builders we have that they take that chassis, they take all the same components that we use in a car that maybe we build for
The
you.
chassis that's under his Camaro.
Yeah.
A chassis that's under your 69 Camaro, that's honestly a father and son could do that swap and chassis install in a long weekend.
That's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they take their 69 Camaro from driving like, you know, an antiquated kind of death trap to now they've got a fucking sports car, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think what you guys do is awesome.
Well, I
and
appreciate it,
I'm
dude.
glad we
Appreciate
got
it.
to do this podcast. It's
It's been fucking awesome.
I've had a blast, dude.
Thank you for building the most insane car of all time.
You're welcome, and enjoy that
I
fucker.
will. Promise. All right. Social media, you guys, Roadster Shop on Instagram.
Yep.
Roadster Shop on Instagram, Roadster Shop. Just Google Roadster Shop. You'll find it.
Roadstershop.com, Roadster Shop on Instagram, Oil and Whiskey on Instagram. We're kind of a little spread out there, but
All right.
check us out.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much
Appreciate
for
it.
coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.